check. Hey, I think we got going. Good morning. Curveball indeed. How is everybody? It's good to see you this morning. Nice to be seen. Forgot to turn off the loop. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Everybody hear me okay? No problems yet? I don't see Jen in the VC. There she is. I just disconnected and reconnected my headphones because they weren't working, so I want to make sure. Jen, will you just give me a little hello? See if my headphones are working. Maybe. Yeah, that's exactly what I was afraid of. All right, give me 1 second. Let me change it. Cannot hear you, Jen. That's not great. I had them on Bluetooth, and then I had to switch them to wired. Good work there. There we go. All right, Jen, try now, would you?
Can you hear me now?
There it is. All right, good morning.
Morning, sunshine.
Did you just wake up? I haven't heard from you at all this morning. I was concerned.
We've been over this. Like, when I haven't said anything all day, it seems like my voice is just scratchy as shit. So it takes a minute.
It just concerns me when I haven't heard from you because I just automatically assume I'm in trouble for something.
I texted you this morning to send me the outline.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I guess I was in trouble. Oh, there it was. I sent it pretty close after that, actually.
Yeah, so that's what I figured you got my text.
Oh, no, I didn't even get that. Yeah. Good morning.
Morning.
All right. Thanks, Jen. Hey, everybody. Good to see you. I've got a nice outline here ready to go. Thanks for hanging out with us yesterday with Admir. Got weird. We got to talk about originalism. We actually had I thought, like a sensible discussion towards the end, and then I got to meet Oslo for the first time. So good to meet Oslo. I don't know if Oslo's here or not. We're not on TikTok today, so there will probably not be an Oslo today. Amy Lynn said Jay's the official white hat today. That's right. I forgot to pull the apps. Was not prepared. I got really lost in a bunch of, for being honest, just a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. Like stuff I didn't even add to the show. Just like Republican drama. It's kind of a weird time of the year where there's not. I think we're almost a little bit lucky, or I guess I'm a little bit lucky that we have the Epstein stuff to talk about. Because other than that, there wouldn't be a whole lot to talk about. This is kind of the dead season politically. So bad time for Trump to try and hide the Epstein files when nothing else is going on, except for Israel, apparently just barely. They're bombing Syria again. I just got a notification. We're bombing Syria now. So that's great news. That's really fucking great news that Israel just continues to be the good guy there in the Middle East. That's balance. Yeah, I enjoyed that conversation with Spencer too. I forgot that he refused to concede, but that's pretty normal. Yeah, Damascus. That's right, Marty. I don't think people normally concede, so I don't think that's that unusual. I'm gonna jump right into it today. I wanted to go over some polling. Here's Harry Enton. This is number 5, whoever's doing the outline today. I showed you some polling that looked promising for for Democrats yesterday. I don't know if this was the same. I don't know if this was today or yesterday. But I'm going to show you some concerning polling. If you're a Democrat, I would be a little concerned when I look at this polling.
Line is this: Democrats are behind their 2006 and 2018 paces when it comes to the generic congressional ballot. What are we talking about here? All right, the Democrats versus the Republicans on the generic congressional ballot, the margins. Look at where we are now. Democrats are ahead, but by just 2 points. Look at where Democrats were already ahead by in 2017. They were behind by 7 points. How about 2005 on the generic congressional ballot? Ahead by 7 points, and now they're only ahead by 2 points. Their lead is less than half of where it was in either 2017 or 2005 in July of those years, the year before the midterm election. Yes, Donald Trump may be unpopular, but Democrats have not come anywhere close to sealing the deal at this particular point.
So I think there's two takeaways there, and we'll get to some more data, but two takeaways there that we should be aware of. Number one, Trump has done, up until this point, he's done a good job of shielding people from the reality of what he's doing. And he's done a good job of convincing a lot of Americans that this was just hysteria by the Democrats, that like this opposition to mass deportations was just hysterics just because they didn't like Trump. So that's part one. Part two is that Democrats haven't done a goddamn thing. They just literally haven't done anything. The leadership, Chuck Schumer's just like out there chanting, "We will win. We will win." And everybody's like, "Yeah, dude, nobody believes you." And Hakeem Jeffries is doing virtually nothing. They're literally taking the strategy of sit back and watch Trump implode. Now, that being said, that may turn out to be a decent strategy. We'll find out. I would rather politicians that I support be far more proactive in getting things done. But maybe just sitting back and letting Trump implode might wind up being a good strategy. We'll see. That's largely what happened in 2017 with Trump. But this polling it doesn't look good, because if Trump can survive the Epstein stuff, and the way that they've put off some of the long-term effects from this new tax bill, where you have things that expire in 2028, some of this damage that's being done by this administration won't be felt by the time the midterms come around. So if Trump can avoid this Epstein stuff and the deportations quiet down a little bit, or at least the protests quiet down, he can survive this. And you look at these numbers, you'll see why he can survive this.
Yeah, wave looks very different.
Yes.
All right, this is the generic ballot test. This is when you test people in a generic question. Of course, the House races aren't generic. There are 435 of them. What happens when you go race by race?
What happens when you go race by race?
Yeah, we all know laying there does nothing. You get no pleasure if you just lay there and take it. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Who said that? Where was that one? Could Chuck Schumer do us all a favor and fall without being able to get up on? That's not nice. It was Eshel said, "No, in my opinion, just sitting back for the sake of elections make them complicit as far as I'm concerned." Yeah, that's the thing. Like, not only are they not inspiring like on the fence voters or independent voters, but they're also turning off their own voters. And it's hard. It would be, if you lived in Hakeem Jeffries' district, if you lived in Chuck Schumer's district, would you be excited, or I guess Chuck Schumer's in the Senate, but in his state, would you be excited to go to the polls and vote for some of these Democrats? I wouldn't. I would do it out of duty. I would do it out of, all right, this is the best option for us, and I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to be excited. Like, I'm not very excited to vote for my senators in Arizona, maybe a little more than for Mark Kelly, but yeah, they haven't given us anything that we should really be excited about right now.
Race. Well, it's the same idea. Okay, House seat ratings with a GOP president, like back in 2005 and, of course, 2017. More net pickup seat chances. Well, last time around, look at that. Democrats were ahead by 33 seats. How about in 2005? Democrats were ahead by 7 seats. What's going on right now? It's actually Republicans. Actually, Republicans with more net pickup chances at plus 12, according to the Cook Political Report, when you add in the likelies, the leans, and the toss-up races. So it's not just on the generic ballot where Democrats are behind their 2017 and 2005 pace. It's actually when it comes seat by seat, you see that, at least at this particular point, Republicans actually have more net pickup opportunities. This doesn't look anything like those wave elections back in 2006 or 2018.
If it doesn't look anything like those years, what does it look like?
Okay, so what does it look like?
So we kind of have this, like, we're in this situation right now where it's pretty fucking obvious what Democrats need to do. I think it's really fucking obvious what Democrats need to do. And they need to adopt changes, things like universal health care, things like wealth inequality. And they need to have like an actual plan that makes sense to people. Sitting there and saying, hey, what we're going to do is we're just going to not extend Trump tax cuts, like, that's not going to be convincing for people. It's still a move in the right direction. I would much rather see the upper tax brackets have their rate increased. I would much rather see that, and I think everybody else would too. But that inspires absolutely nobody. And there's been a lot of people in media that are like, political adjacent. They're not in it every day, but they're all saying the same thing. And when people in the middle who are politically adjacent are all kind of saying the same thing, that's one of those instances where maybe you listen to those people. Maybe you listen to some of these people who have millions and millions of viewers tuning in to watch them every day. People like Andrew Santino or Joe Rogan. And what is the stuff that actually works for them? What's the stuff that actually makes sense for them? It's AOC, it's Bernie, it's Mom Donnie. It's talking about taking care of food deserts. It's talking about universal health care. It's talking about wealth inequality. It's talking about stopping these needless wars. It's talking about not supporting death cults like Israel. That stuff resonates all across the board. And this is, I think, where so many people are frustrated with the fucking Democrats, because every time I see one of these Democrats that's in power, all I have to do is be like, who funds them? And I find out real fast. And I find out that they're going to get a ton of funding from APAC, and they're going to get a ton of funding from massive corporations. And so it's like, oh, well, what are they really going to do? They might increase like income taxes, maybe, but probably not. They're certainly not gonna draw a hard line with Israel. They're just gonna keep moving in this moderate direction that we've been going at, and that inspires nobody. I was surprised when I saw this number, but then as Harry Anton explains this, it's like, no, actually, this all makes fucking sense. Because whatever you want to say, like Trump had a vision. It was lies. It wasn't possible. But he did sell the American people on a vision, and this vision that Democrats are selling, if they want people to vote for him, of, hey, we're not Donald Trump, it's just not going to inspire enough people to come out. They might still win the midterms with that messaging, but nobody's going to be inspired. What Democrats really need in these midterms is they need a sweep. There's almost no chance of the Democrats winning the Senate, almost no chance, and taking over the Senate. Very slim margins. There's a good chance they take over the House. But if they could get the House and the Senate, they have a mandate, and you have momentum going into an election where suddenly you're forcing the 2028 nominees on both sides to at least discuss universal health care, to at least discuss serious reform to our health insurance industry and big pharma. And if you have one candidate that is Bernie adjacent, just has like, we're going to do universal health care, which is going to help us collectively bargain to keep drug prices low. It's also going to make sure that the poorest among us can go see a doctor. You're going to get preventative care screenings. There's going to be children out there that are getting preventative care screenings, early detection for illnesses and conditions. Like, that's a compelling message. And if the Republican response to that is, we're going to get rid of the lines around the states and we're going to increase competition and socialism bad, that's a losing message. I don't know that there's ever been like a more opportune time for Democrats to, at least on a couple issues, take like a hard shift, like a radical shift, and that needs to happen. Otherwise, we're going to be back in the same place we are right now.
Well, let's take a look back at the generic congressional ballot. What was going on in Ipsos in October of 2024? Democrats were ahead by 2 points. Look at where we are now. Democrats ahead by 2 points among registered voters. At this particular point, this election cycle looks a lot more like 2024 than it does than either 2018 or 2006. And so, of course,
we just lived through it. You saw I was looking at all this polling before the 2024 election. And while the election for Kamala and Trump was close, like almost everybody had this lean Dems. And I really do think that the miss in the polling here is enthusiasm. And we've seen that. Like, Joe Biden gets more votes than Obama, despite the fact that Joe Biden's not more popular than Obama. He didn't get a higher percentage, but he got more votes. Harris lost votes compared to Biden. Like, there was no enthusiasm there. And Democrats across the board, there wasn't much enthusiasm outside of just like people who were ready to, like, just didn't want Trump again. Let's just be honest about it. I thought Kamala Harris in person comes off much better than on TV, but the problem is, like, she's mostly on TV. And on TV, I don't think that she had a compelling message. And she didn't have a compelling message because, well, whatever the reasons are. There could be a lot of reasons. But I would assume she was a little bit handcuffed by being tied to the Biden administration. So she couldn't take more aggressive stances on things like Israel because she's also working within a current administration and she doesn't want to fuck that up. And I think a lot of fear of losing like the corporate vote or the establishment vote. I just don't think it was going to happen. I just think establishment Democrats are going to vote Democrat no matter what. I don't like this idea that we have to cater to the middle because they're coming with us no matter what. There is not a significant portion of Democrats that vote Democrat every election that we're going to see Harris say we got to take a hard line on Israel. We got to take a hard line on universal health care. I don't see those moderate Democrats going, well, fuck it, we're going MAGA. I just don't think those are losing issues. I don't think anybody's changing their vote to the other side because we're advocating for universal health care or a more sensible foreign policy.
Republicans actually held onto the House back in 2024. Will it happen this time around? We'll just have to wait and see. But for anyone who's writing the Republican House's political obituaries, hold the phone. This is a reality check. Republicans are still very much in the game.
Harriet, and that'll be quite a reality check, I think, for a lot of Democratic voters.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I see. You said a lot of people fell for edited clips of Kamala. Look, whatever happened, right? There's edited clips of everybody. Whatever happened, she was not able to overcome the negativity. She lost votes compared to Biden. I'm not trying to say that this is like. I think we have to be careful of that. We just have to address reality. She lost votes compared to Biden. Whatever it was, why people didn't vote for her, and there's lots of reasons that people didn't vote for her. It could be policy, it could be sexism, it could be misogyny, it could be racism, it could be party politics, it could be a belief in conspiracy theories. There's like a myriad of reasons why people wouldn't vote for Harris. But the reality is she didn't win, and I do think that that could have been overcome with a better message. I do think that Americans, especially now, they're ready to hear a message about what the fuck are we going to do with healthcare. Nobody likes our healthcare system. Not one single person likes how much they pay for healthcare. The only people, like maybe people if their company's covering it all. But even then, like go ask your company, would you like to not have this expense? Yeah, probably wouldn't want this expense. We would probably like this expense to be lower. We probably don't. And then to the consumer, like, do you want a deductible? Do you want copays? Do you want to have these all these networks? So you can't find a doctor in network. So now you're like, well, I've got to go to a good doctor. Should I go out of network and pay a little bit more? Or do I have the money to pay more? I just don't think that this is a system that anybody really likes. And with an effective communicator, somebody like Pete Buttigieg, I think Democrats could be in really good hands. I also, I hate fucking saying this. I'm going to show this video now. I hate saying all of this. I need to say a couple things. One, I think I was wrong about Sean Ryan. I think I was right in some ways, wrong in other ways. The ways that I think I was wrong about Sean Ryan is that he doesn't appear to be a partisan. Whoops, what was that? Where I was right about Sean Ryan is I don't think he's like terribly intelligent. I think he just sits there, asks questions, and sits back and hears the answers. So Sean Ryan, who historically has been like a pretty right-wing podcaster. He's most of the clips we've shown you before the election with Kash Patel and with Dan Bongino, like a lot of those clips were coming from this podcast. Here he is interviewing Gavin Newsom, and this hurts my soul to say. It really does. I do not like Gavin Newsom, and I do not want Gavin Newsom to be president, and I do not want him to be the Democratic nominee because I think he's too moderate. But holy shit, he makes a compelling case here. This is about an 11-minute interview he did with Sean Ryan. Gavin Newsom absolutely kills Trump in this. He comes off likable. He explains a lot of stuff that I've never heard him explain before. And God damn it, he's an effective communicator, and I don't like that one bit.
You know, Hurricane Helene was why I was in South Carolina. I was talking about the recovery efforts. They're still not fully recovered. We have to be there for each other. I want to be there with the folks out there in Texas, man. No politics. That could condition aid. Greg Abbott, you get every goddamn dollar you need. I mean, you're a 13-year-old girl clutching the hands of an 11-year-old found dead downriver, man. Oh, the age of my kids. Mm-hmm. It's not politics. I don't care who's to blame right now, man. Find anyone that's alive. Let's have that conversation. And if they need aid, provide it. I send search and rescue teams. That Friday morning, sent out, said, whatever you need. I was proud to support Speaker Johnson in the recovery in the hurricanes in Louisiana. but they want to condition aid in California because they disagree with a water faucet or somewhere that he's made up in water policy, or saying I'm not raking his forest. 57% of the forests in California are federal. 3% are California. I've spent $2 billion raking.
Did you know that? That's how have we lost that messaging battle? I knew that it was imbalanced. I didn't know it was that. 97% of the forests in California, federal. That means they're under Trump's control. 3% California. And yet, somehow, because of ineffective leadership and ineffective messaging, we've allowed Trump to win that battle. The pushback was garbage. The pushback from CNN, MSNBC, simply Fox News, but more importantly, elected Democratic leadership. Where the fuck has Chuck Schumer been on this? Chuck Schumer couldn't get this out there. Nancy Pelosi couldn't get this out there. They couldn't effectively message this. Like the great thing about this interview, and I highly recommend, as much as, again, I'm not a huge Gavin Newsom guy, I recommend you sharing it with your MAGA friends, because this answers a lot of the bullshit that Trump has been saying about California, and it exposes how easily Trump is duped, how dumb he is, and how much he lies.
All our forests, he's spending nothing.
Interesting.
Chuck is too busy fighting his glasses and writing stern letters. We will win. We will win. Thanks, Chuck.
I didn't know
It's just a lot of crap. Billions and billions of dollars. And we've 10x'd our investments in that space. 10x'd it. From the day I got in, the first executive order I signed as governor of California was around vegetation and forest management. Waived CEQA again. Did an emergency order to fast track these efforts. Unprecedented investments in this space. And he just demagogues them. We have a big federal fire on his land. In Cal Fire, our folks are the ones that are the vast majority of the incident command. And,
Hey, guys, the incels showed up and they are just spamming, like, you guys are a mess. Frank, you show up every day and say hater site. Can you guys chill? Calm down.
We have a big federal fire on his land. In Cal Fire, our folks are the ones that are the vast majority of the incident command. And, he just cut goddamn workforce at the U.S. Forest Service.
Damn.
So I just want a little bit of it.
Sean Ryan, damn, dude. That's what I love about Sean Ryan. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's not super intelligent, but like, he lets people speak. He asks decent questions. He's not as bad at this as I thought. I just owe Sean Ryan an apology, but I just, like, that's kind of what he did. That was what I criticized him for. I was like, dude, he's going to bring on all these Republicans and they're going to say shit that's obviously not true, and he's just not going to respond. And then I start watching him. Now he's interviewing people from this side of the aisle. I was like, all right, that was unfair of me. That's just who Sean Ryan is. He just sits back and listens. He doesn't add much, but that's okay. And so I owe Sean Ryan an apology. I text two of my Republican friends because I had criticized Sean Ryan a lot publicly on this show. And I owe him an apology. He is what he is. He's authentically who he is. He's one of the few people that I thought was on the right, who's out there consistently saying, like, I don't know, Trump, you can't just lie to us about this shit. You can't just lie about Epstein. You can't just pretend that nobody cared about this.
Consistency, a little less hypocrisy, a little less politics. Otherwise, he's fine. To your question.
I mean, with those wildfires, I did an interview on that with Tim Sheehy, senator out of Montana. And, the one...
Amy said, for Frank's Weiner trophy. Thank you, Amy Lynn. And you guys, it doesn't have to be just Amy Lynn. I'll read any super chats you send. We do have a gift goal every day. If you can help us knock that out, that would be wonderful.
One of the things the one thing that stuck with me the most was him telling me about houses that were burning down that were next to ponds, next to lakes, and that the helos that were carrying water, they fill up in lakes, dump it, could not fill up their tanks or their buckets or whatever the hell they call them in those lakes because of an endangered fish.
In Montana?
Fish. No, this is in California.
Oh, he's full of shit.
He's full of shit.
Full of shit. Doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. What crap.
A simple Google search would have told you that. A simple Google search would have told you that the smelt is in Northern California and the fires were in Southern California, and that the water needed for the fires come from the reservoirs in Southern California, and that river, what is that delta, whatever the delta is, flows out into the Pacific Ocean. It does not go south down to Los Angeles. Like, anybody with Google knew that was a lie, but Google's too woke, so we didn't listen to it. But again, I just appreciate Newsom here saying, like, he's just full of shit, man. He's full of shit, and now he's gonna rip Sheehy here. And by the way, Sheehy, also an idiot. Sheehy, fuck you, Montana, for voting in Tim Sheehy. You had one of the most, like, effectively nonpartisan senators. Like, he was listed as a Democrat, and you guys had to put in Sheehy, who's a chronic liar. And now you got a dumb guy who just loves Trump as your senator. Congratulations.
Just made up. That's so stupid. I can't even believe he said that. I'm embarrassed someone told him that. And I'm sorry someone told him that, and he had to repeat it.
Well, Trump said it on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, Trump is. It was laughable. He said he sent water down to L.A. Completely made it up. He was trying to show me maps and convince me at the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. I started laughing. I said, "I can't convince you." I said, "You literally you're making this up," and I don't know what else to tell you. And then I finally said, "Okay, you win. You've solved for the problem. You've made California abundant with water again." I said, "Can we just stop this nonsense?" It's like,
to be clear, this is what Trump is showing him. So the governor of California is saying, "Hey, Donald, where is Sacramento? This water up here, all this water up here, it doesn't flow down here. It flows out here." And Trump's like, "What if we took this water here and we released it so that it'll get down here?" And Newsom says, "Hey, see these fucking things right here? Those are called rivers, man. And those rivers are going this way. They're going out towards the coast. See how the rivers aren't going this way? So that means the water that you release from these reservoirs is going to go this way, not this way." And he had to sit there while the president of the United States is like, "Listen, up is up, down, or up is north, down is south. Water goes down, so it must be going south." Which also, by the way, if it ran directly south, still wouldn't hit Los Angeles. It's still, that'd be southeast. Still wouldn't go, even if he was right about that. It just doesn't flow that way. And Gavin Newsom had to sit there while talking to Trump, while Trump's like, "Let me tell you something about where water goes. It just goes south." And Newsom's like, "All right, man, you win. You just gave up."
It's like when he said he had another conversation with me he never had. Just
So
made
they
up.
were able to access those lakes and ponds, and
I mean, I got dozens and dozens of these things, and they're pulling water and running these figure eights, these goddamn rock stars 24/7, using the assets that I invested in as governor, allowing us the night drops 24/7. Yes.
so do you think that they are not?
What bullshit?
Do you think they're not?
By the way, that senator, I'm sorry, Senator. Boy, that's embarrassing. And I'm sorry someone told you that. And I guess it was the president. I would encourage you to stress test what he says.
When you're saying that you're the one that's cleaning out the federal forests and that's the federal government's
Hundreds
job
and
to do
hundreds of
that.
millions of dollars we've invested doing the work of the federal government. 57% of the state's property is in federal hands. 3% are in state hands. These fires, Camp Fire, the most deadly in California, started in federal lands. And this guy comes in and talks about raking. And he's serious about raking. He actually believes in it's insane. It's like, actually, honestly, just think about that, raking the forest.
I think what Newsom's pointing out here, that I don't know that I've ever. I think sometimes we give Trump way too much credit. And what Newsom is telling you is that when he meets with Trump and they talk about raking, and you and I, like, if we have this debate, I go, "Trump's talking about taking an actual rake," and you're like, no, he's talking about, like, managing vegetation growth. And I would say, yeah, it's probably what he's talking about. He's just using rake. What Newsom is telling you is that in meeting with Trump thinks it's legitimately just raking. He thinks that what they need to do is take rakes and just go through the whole forest and just rake. That's what he thinks. This is what Newsom is telling you, that, like, I'm dealing with him one-on-one. He's not saying it metaphorically. It's not an all-encompassing term. He's saying you got to rake. You got to get in there with a rake.
If he's talking about forest and vegetation management, he's talking about defensible spaces. We have significantly, I told you, 10x'd the investments in this space. I can't make up for 100 years of Smokey the Bear in suppression strategies that predate my existence, but I can take responsibility for historic investments in my state and moving heaven and earth and changing rules and regulations that were slowing that process down, including another executive order I did a few months ago on this topic.
I mean, when he's talking about raking the forest, I mean, he's talking about getting the dead debris.
No, he's talking about raking. John, I'm just telling you, man. After he said raking the forest, I was down in the Woolsey fire. I flew with him in the Air Force One, was with him in the car. I was with him on Marine One, spent the day with him. Northern California, went to Southern California. He talked about, Newsom needs to rake the forest. And everyone kind of laughed. He wasn't laughing. And he called me, I'm not kidding. A couple of days later, I'll never forget, I was at my house up in Fair Oaks. And President's online. I'm like, hey, he goes, hey, did you follow up on raking the forest? I said, oh, yes, sir, Mr. President. We're doing the vegetation forest management. He goes, no, raking the forest. You got to call the president, I don't know, Finland or something. Can't even remember which. I said, well, I know. I said, no, we're definitely doing all the vegetation management. He said, no, raking. When he says it, he's not kidding. I'm just telling you.
Why are they not sending federal aid to do
at least send some rakes.
He is a dumb guy. Donald Trump's a dumb guy. Sometimes we confuse rich for being smart. He's just a dumb guy. Donald Trump is legitimately just a dumb guy, but now he's also a dumb old guy. So he's not learning new things, and he can't remember the things he learned, so it's just falling apart piece by piece. Donald Trump is just an actual dumb guy. No, sir. I mean, rakes. No, you didn't call him sir. He would never call Newsom sir. I'm rakes. Where the fuck are your rakes? First of all, it's your land, Trump. It's federal land, so the federal government needs to be taking care of that. But secondly, you're an idiot. He's just a dumb guy.
He didn't even send a damn rake. I may make some hats, make America rake again. Sell some goddamn merchandise on my podcast, not just yours. Thank you for the gummies.
You're welcome. There's red dye in those, by the way.
Jesus, see? RFK Jr. and Newsom are
Those are going to be illegal soon.
Both of us. At least we agree on that, Bobby. So look, when it comes to emergency preparedness and management, man, we got to get along. I mean, you $1 billion disasters. I mean, this bankrupt this country.
Just so that we're all on the same page here, everybody who's in the YouTube chat, I have mentioned on this show no less than 100 times, including today's show, that I don't want Gavin Newsom to be president. And yet, the mere appearance of Gavin Newsom criticizing Donald Trump has turned grown men and women into hysterical little bitches in the comments, screaming into the void, "New scum, riots, California bad." You guys are absolutely losing your fucking minds just because I'm showing you a video of a guy talking, and you are losing it. This is what we talk about when we say, like, this operates just like a cult. Because you think anybody who's not Donald Trump is evil, and you start losing your fucking minds. Instead of just checking what he's saying, when Donald Trump stands on stage and says, "We had fires in LA, and they were out of control until I showed up and I sent the water." When Donald Trump says that, your next step should say, did Donald Trump release water to LA? And then you're going to go look at where he released water, and you're going to find out that it wasn't in Los Angeles. In fact, where he released it is farmland, and they said, "We don't want that water right now. We want it when it's irrigation season." So now you have wasted 2 billion gallons of water for no fucking reason. And when you go and you Google that, if after Googling all of that, you decide Gavin Newsom is wrong, then you're just a fucking idiot, and there's not a whole lot of goddamn things we can do for you. There's no amount of talking to you will fix a goddamn thing. If you are watching this interview and you think, no, Trump was right about this, you're just fucking stupid, and I don't think we can fix that. I think you've just decided I'm going to be a fucking idiot always. And no matter what, like, I will choose being a fucking idiot over all things always. There's nothing we can do for you, but I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you losing your collective minds in the chat, just thinking of anything negative you can say about California and spamming it, all because this man is pointing out that the guy that you voted for is an unequivocal dipshit. He is the dumbest goddamn person in our government. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is in our government. Lauren Boebert is in our government. And he's the dumbest goddamn one. That's incredible. That's incredible. Randy Fine is a member of our federal government. And Donald Trump wipes the floor with him. He is the dumbest fucking president in history. It's not fucking close. He reads on a fourth grade level, but he comprehends on a first grade level. This guy doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. And I think the only way he could figure it out is by looking around and going, oh, are there a lot of heads, Republican heads shoved into that? No, there's not. That must be the hole in the ground. My ass must be the one with Lindsey Graham's head shoved up into it always. That's the only way Donald Trump is able to identify the difference between a hole in the ground and his ass. It's just if it's full of idiots. And you guys, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking a break from Trump's asshole.
He wants to eliminate FEMA. He's certainly vandalized NOAA and the weather check. I don't know if it had any impact in Texas. I don't even want to go there at the moment. I think people eventually have to look at that. But man, in the West, hots are getting hotter, dries are getting drier, just objective facts. Mm-hmm. There's no Democratic or Republican thermometer, man. And if you don't believe in science, you got to believe your own eyes. Towns being literally torn off the map. Greenville, California, Grizzly Fats, California, obviously Camp Fire and what happened in Paradise, California.
There's got to be Grizzly Flats, right? That cannot be Grizzly Fats. He had to have he must have misspoke there, right? Please tell me it's not Grizzly. It's got to be Grizzly Flats, right? Okay, it is. It's not Grizzly. All right, just checking. That'd be a cool name for a town, though, the Grizzly Fats. I like that.
But it's serious. And we have unprecedented resources. We have the largest firefighting fleet, aerial firefighting fleet in the world, my state. I've invested unprecedented dollars, not just in vegetation forest management. I've doubled my state CAL FIRE budget. I mean, there's no bigger. I told you I put 110 engines and pre-deployed them. I was on the fire in LA within hours as governor of a county fire and initiated on federal property, multiple fires that were occurring at the same time, most of them on federal property where they initiated. And we had 100-mile-an-hour winds attached to fire, or a fire attached to 100-mile-an-hour winds. I was up.
By the way, I do see I was waiting for this. Someone asked, how does a real man sit like that with his legs crossed? I don't know. Do you hold that? You still holding that criticism? What's this over here? The only difference I see between these two is that this guy is in substantially worse shape. This is pre-Ozempic Trump, but I don't know. I guess Trump isn't a man either. If you cross your legs, you're just not a man. Is that it?
Up there in the hills with these guys, and we all turned around when my hair literally burst on. There's a video of it. And they threw me in the car. The guy hits my hair and throws me in the car, says, "Get the fuck out of here." And these guys, there's no hose in the world attached to a thing that mattered at that point. It was a life safety mission. And that was just a few hours in. Those were 60, 70-mile-an-hour gusts before it hit its peak.
That Grizzly Fats sounds like an Appalachian bluegrass banjo player.
100. All our helicopters had to be grounded.
he's the guitarist for Jelly Roll.
All the big C-130s we had down there, grounded. And then these guys they just blew us up. Contrast that to how they're celebrating Texas.
Why do you think you're the target?
In some ways, I'm humbled by it. Must mean something. They're not, but no, I'm the favorite. I'm glad you're not watching Fox because you'd be a little bored with me. 24/7, man.
Johnny said, when is the meteor coming to wipe us out? It's not. I think 2030, isn't it like 2037? Isn't that when that one's supposed to show up?
I don't know. I mean, I appreciate it if I can unite people in some ways, but I don't dislike those people protesting me everywhere. Man, they love their families, they love their kids. We all want to be protected, connected to something bigger than ourselves. We all want to be respected. And man, I don't want to talk down. I don't talk down. It's not about you. I respect you, man. You care about, I care about this country. You care about this country. I told you, I have a big Republican family I'm married into. Love my father-in-law. My guy's a rock star. Like, well, he's a hero. Came from nothing, man. Built this unbelievable business. And he's the most amazing father. Had 5 kids, lost his oldest daughter to a tragic accident, changed everything in his life. Man of values and principles and faith.
What family did he marry into? Newsom's in-laws. Is it a famous family? Wife is Jennifer Siebel Newsom. What's her? She's a documentary filmmaker. Let's see. She played at soccer at Stanford. Does anybody know? Are they somehow famous? Should I know who their father is? Who her dad is? She's also one of the people that accused Harvey Weinstein. I didn't know any of this shit. Wow.
We've got a new subscriber.
I'm not sure. She dated George Clooney. God damn. Yeah, I don't know. You're saying he used to be married to yeah, he was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle. Sorry, I haven't watched the comments. I've seen you guys are still crashing out. You're still just crashing out. How do you feel? Newscom, isn't he supporting child labor and weed factories? I don't know if you're talking about I don't know how to tell you this, but weed's fine. And he wasn't supporting illegal labor. In fact, all the videos you showed were not from the weed farms. Those were the strawberry fields. The growing of the weed is actually done in greenhouses. So I don't know exactly what you're referencing, but it's cool that you're just repeating shit you saw on Twitter.
In fact, he's the grandfather of my kids, man.
That's a good point, Howard. Gavin Newsom sucks, but Gavin Newsom is the perfect image of what we think a president should look like. Yeah, he kind of looks like in Independence Day. What's that actor's name that was the president in Independence Day? It's the guy I always mix up who's who. It's Bill Pullman, not Bill Paxton. He does look like Bill Pullman a little bit from Independence Day, doesn't he? Like even this outfit with the unbuttoned shirt, then the jacket over the top, he kind of looks like Bill Pullman in Independence Day.
He live and die for this fucking country. Big gun owner, hunter. It's an incredible role model. And he's a Republican. God bless him, man. Good. We had this boy.
Yeah, but Tree Ninja, the one we were talking about, it was not an outdoor grow. That's why I said that it was done in greenhouses. And by the way, NorCal weed way better than SoCal weed. NorCal, it is a different world up there. I went to my sister's wedding in Santa Cruz, and I just like stopped by a dispensary, and I got like their mid-tier stuff. It was 5 times better than anything I've smoked in Arizona. I couldn't believe the amount of flavor and like it wasn't dried out. It was unbelievable. Those of you who live in the Pacific Northwest, like God bless you, but you are spoiled when it comes to your greens. You have no idea. Like top shelf, high grade stuff in Arizona is like your low grade stuff. Even when I was in Oregon last month, in Seaside, I was like, what is this? It's like a dessert. It's like you could like taste oranges in it. You could taste like apple. You could taste great. It's unbelievable how much better your weed is up there in the Pacific Northwest. I don't know why the fuck I know it rains a lot, Portland and Seattle, but you guys need to smile a little bit more. You can't have the best weed in the world up there and then like be sad because it rains. I am a little bit tired of your attitude, Pacific Northwest. You guys have it pretty good up there. You need to stop being so goddamn morose all the time.
Of you. I don't hate him. I don't think he hates me. I don't like some of my politics. We've had the conversation we just had about trans issues. It's tough. I get it. But he knows my heart. I know his. And I think, man, that's 99.9% of people out there. Good goddamn people. And I just wish Trump would play to that as opposed to, I feel like the Stars and Stripes, there's going to be only 25 damn stars up there, 26. Mm-hmm. He wants to eliminate the rest. He's deciding if you're blue or red, if he's just going to support disaster aid, man. I have 6 million Trump supporters in my state. That's more people than live in South Carolina.
No matter where you're watching Sean Ryan's show from.
There we go. And I think that's why Gavin Newsom's going to have a lot of appeal. I don't want Gavin Newsom to be president. I really don't. I would vote for him over literally anybody who's even considering running for the GOP. But I really hope we get somebody more progressive than that. But Gavin Newsom is setting the stage for how Democrats need to speak to people and where they need to go. I also think that he's kind of just copying Pete Buttigieg, though. I think Pete Buttigieg has been doing this for years. I think Pete Buttigieg is better at this. And I think his policies are far more in line with things that are going to be beneficial to this country. Like Gavin Newsom is going to be Bill Clinton. He's going to be like, let's find the middle ground, everybody. But that middle ground doesn't help us. Like we're at a stage economically where like the middle ground is just delaying the inevitable. We have to either let the whole thing crater, or we have to make changes very quickly. There's no more room of like kick the can down the road. Like we're at the breaking point. There's already massive wealth inequality. It's going to get worse over the next 3 years. It's not going to get better. Please, for the love of God, tell your friends not to support Gavin Newsom. Let him stay in California, where whatever you want to say about him, he's honestly a pretty good governor. He's honestly done a pretty good job. California has a lot of problems. They have a lot of people. They have problems that no other state is ever going to face. But I think they're the fourth biggest economy in the world. They have beautiful scenery. They tend to take care of their public lands a little bit better. They take care of their people a little bit better. So for whatever we want to say about Gavin Newsom, he's at least a fairly decent governor. But let's keep him there. Let's keep him there. I want to show you this video I've found this morning. I don't know how much it's circulating. I want you to watch this video of Stephen Miller. Now this is pre political Stephen Miller, and I'm going to give you this freeze frame. And I want you guys in the audience, if you know the answer to this question, do not answer in the questions. I want you to tell me how old Stephen Miller is in this video. And I'll play the video in a minute. But before we do, I want you just to guess his age. How dare you disagree with me, Southern Fried? How dare you? You would vote for Newsom over Pete Buttigieg? That hurts my feelings. I see what it was. There's 18, 14. All right, you guys are guessing correct. He's 17. This 45-year-old man is 17 years old. But this is who Stephen Miller has always been. And this is who Republicans, for some reason, keep dragging into their circle. It's not like Stephen Miller's popular. It's not like Stephen Miller is like this known commodity. He's cruel, and he's a white nationalist. And that's always been his brand, which is why he always winds up on the staff of somebody cruel. Just listen to him. I think he's on a way to a tennis tournament here when he's 17 years old. And here's what he's saying.
To the issue of the Iraqi civilians, I think that as many of them should survive as possible, because the goal of any military conflict is to kill as few people as possible. But as for Saddam Hussein and his henchmen, I think the ideal solution would be to cut off their fingers. I don't think it's necessary to kill them entirely. We're not a barbaric people. We respect life. Therefore, torture is the way to go. Because tortured people can live. Torture is a celebration of life and human dignity. We need to remember that as we enter these very dark and dangerous times in the next century. And I only hope.
I was thinking about the kids listening because I do believe in humanity. I'm thinking about the kids that are laughing at that. My take on this is that those kids think he's doing a bit. Those kids think he's like being outrageous to be funny. I would be interested in talking to any of those kids now. Like, kids laugh at dumb shit. I would be interested to hear them now and be like, hey, did you know at the time that what he was saying wasn't a joke and that he was just like a sick fuck? I'd be interested to know what they say. Moa said, it's all about the terpenes. That's right. Terpenes are important. You gotta know about the terpenes. I learned that recently.
Hope that many of my peers and people who will be leading this country will appreciate the value and respect that torture shows towards other cultures. I was talking to my doctor the other day and I said to him, well, I'm 17, I'm pretty sexy.
It's tough. Thanks, Shannon, for joining the Dollar Train.
Everything's going the way I want it to. I play good tennis, but something's just not going right. My hair is just receding. I look like I'm 35, and a balding 35-year-old at that. Thank you, Jonas. And he said, well, how much sleep are you getting? And I said, excuse me, what's sleep? Apparently, you're supposed to go to bed at nighttime. Usually, I sit in my room like this. Ha! 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 Ha!
That's kind of how it gets to. But this is just, he was always a psycho. Izzy, thanks for joining the Dollar Train, as well as Pink. And Jamar said, Spencer, TCJA equals more money, Jay. But the growth was slower, Spencer. But there was more money, Jay. But it was at a slower rate. Yeah, that was our whole night last night. Rate of growth was a concept he wasn't grasping. Janelle, thank you. Janelle says, you are a tyrant, Jay. I believe that's in response from our debate last night when Admir said that I was also a host, which wasn't true. And then he called me a tyrant. I like that.
And then the doctor told me that this is no way to recuperate. Apparently, you're supposed to close your eyes, recline, and just drift off into some kind of slumber. So I guess
this bitch is a vampire. I actually agree. That's kind of funny. But he's a fucking vampire. This guy at 17 years old wasn't sleeping. He was just sitting up at night in a rage thinking about torturing Iraqis. This guy has always been a fucking psychopath. When it's 17, when you're his friends, you're like, oh, you must be losing your hair because you don't sleep at night. Objectively, that's funny. Until you think about the stuff he said before, and you're like, oh my God, you can't sleep because you're a psycho. You can't sleep because you're thinking of ways to torture people and justify that as humane. We value human life, so we torture people, he said earlier in this comment. This is who he always was. I said he was a white nationalist earlier, and somebody's like, did you say he's a white nationalist? I don't know if you know that, like, a year later, he's at college at Duke, and he's like best friends with Richard Spencer. I don't know if he went to Duke. Actually, now that I say it, I think he went to Duke. The reason I bring up Duke is because he wound up being right about, or at least vindicated. I don't know if right. Yeah, vindicated, because there was that huge Duke lacrosse story where they had hired sex workers, and then the sex workers said that I don't remember the whole story, but there was abuse claimed, and then there was a big court case, and they wound up all being found not guilty. And Stephen Miller, on like day one, before he knew any details, came out and he was like, those black women are guilty. And so he wound up being right that like the Duke lacrosse guys didn't commit a crime. But it was still weird that he came out on day one. Before he knew any facts, he was just already convinced. You don't be surprised that this guy's a white nationalist, and you shouldn't argue it. He is a white nationalist. He has said it. He's admitted it. He's buddies with white nationalists. He was a white nationalist here. He's always just been a white nationalist. I don't know why this is like one of Trump's 4 go-to spokespeople. You have white nationalist Stephen Miller. You have convicted felon and moron Peter Navarro. Like, Peter Navarro still doesn't know what tariffs are. And then you have the only smart guy in the administration, Scott Bessent. And then you have Chucklefuck that looks like the guy from Breaking Bad. What's his name? Kevin Tackett? Is it Tackett? Or that guy's name is? I can't remember what his name is. Like, these are the 4 people that are speaking. He's one of the 4 people that regularly speaks for this administration. That's a bizarre fucking choice for a spokesperson.
That's the reason I'm losing my hair and wrinkling my forehead. Hopefully, when I go to college, I'll find some time to sleep. As that question's been finished, I'd like to do a little number. This one comes from Engelbert Humperdinck. Cling to nothing.
All right, I'm probably done with that. Isn't that Prince Humperdinck? Is that what he's quoting? I don't know. He wants to torture Iraqis for private gain. He's a white nationalist. Yeah. JP, I actually don't really disagree with you. Actually, I don't know if maybe I disagree. I don't think the Democrat Party is imploding. I think it is doing nothing. I think it's just sitting around. I wish it would implode. I'm trying to get it to implode. Hackett. Thank you, Groovy Redhead. Hackett is his name. I wish it would implode. I wish we could get some fireworks out of the Democrats. I wish they did anything but sit on their hands. So I don't even know. I wish it was, JP. And when it is, we can celebrate together for different reasons. Obviously, you'll celebrate it because you'll think it's the end of the Democratic Party. And I'll celebrate it because I want it to be the end of the Democratic Party. Pull some videos of me when I was in high school. You want to see a picture? I'll show you. Let's see. I don't know if there's even any. What happens if I Google my name from high school? Go to images. You guys are ready for this? I don't know if you're ready for this. Some of you haven't seen this. So I just need you to be prepared that although you have seen my hair and it seems a little bit curly, I'm not 100% sure you were ready. Can I make this bigger? It's in an article. How do I pull this out of an article? Maybe it's this one. Guess it's this one. It's going to be small. Sorry. That was me in high school. You may need to zoom in. Can I zoom in here? How do you zoom? I can only go smaller. How do you zoom? I don't even know how to zoom. That's my real hair. I look like fucking Screech. So I think you're gonna make JP bigger with your picture. That was and I had to keep it short, but that's stepped away for a second. Yeah, that's what I looked like. That was prep of the week though there, which shows you how good Utah athletics are. This is me in my basketball jersey. I was on the basketball team. I was a decent basketball player. I think I was like all honorable mention all region. So whatever that means, not that good. But this is actually a picture of me. I was prep of the week. I won prep of the week, but for soccer. So they used my basketball picture for soccer because I don't even think we had soccer pictures. But that was me winning prep of the week for having 6 goals in 5 games. So there you go. Now we got it. It's been dropped to the there's worse pictures are you Zach Morris? They call me Preppy. I do think I have. I don't know if I have any video outside of like sports highlights. I don't know if there's any other video of me. I know there's a video of me as a kid maybe not even a kid, like 12 years old. And I was always trying to get attention from my parents, always. And so I would do outrageous things to get attention. And we were in Idaho. If any of you have lived in Idaho, you know where Lava Hot Springs is. There's a town outside of that I can't remember what it's called. Tiny fucking town. And some neighbors of ours like had a house there. And we would go and we'd stay in that house, like a bunch of families, and then we would go to Lava Hot Springs. But right next to it, it was like on the edge of a marsh. So we'd go into the marsh to catch like frogs. And I went into a marsh in a girl's swimming suit, a one piece, because modest is hottest. And then I came out of it to get attention, and it turns out everybody was ready for it, and they just recorded it. And then so there's video of me running around it covered in mud in a girl's bathing suit when I was 12 years old. So if you can find that one might be the one that ends me. How tall am I? I'm 5'10", legitimately. I don't lie about my age. I was listed at 6. They always listed me at 6 feet, but I was never 6 feet tall. I was 5'10". Hey, Jen.
Hey, you know what? One of the things I do love about you is you offer up a bunch of information that no one ever asked for.
Someone asked what I looked like in high school in the chat.
But the covered in mud.
Oh yeah, I just overshare. That's what I do. Yeah, that's my bad.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's certain things you couldn't waterboard out of me that you would tell.
I know.
I mean, it's kind of your thing.
Yeah.
But like Mama says in Twitch chat, at least you're not 5'5.5". Because that's
actually, she said I am 5'5.5". You're 5'5" and a quarter.
And a quarter. Mama, you're confusing Jay with Admiral.
I think this is kind of unfair that there are people in this chat, and I won't point them out, who have met me and are lying about my height. Fuck you. You know who I'm talking about. Fuck you. You know exactly how tall I am. You know it's not 5'8". Yeah.
Jay, we haven't met in person, but I've seen pictures of you, and I believe him when he says he's 5'10". And I've talked to people who said they've met him in person, and he is 5'10".
He's sitting on a phone book right now. You guys are dickheads, all of you. All of you. Like Admir. I'm not Admir's son. Did you know Admir was a professional soccer player? You know his last name? Yeah, he played in the MLS.
No, I did not know that. Are we sure? Or was it pro, or was it like a semi like?
Is he born in Macedonia? No, that's not him. Let me see if I can. Wait, what? Do you know his last name by chance?
Oh, I could probably find it.
Yeah, I think Is it start with an S?
I'm not positive. I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Let me pull it up. Yeah, he was a professional soccer player. I don't know if this is him or not. Is this? He played for? Let's see. I know who he played for. He played for the Colorado Rapids.
I'll just message and see if he'll.
Wasn't he born in Bosnia,
Herzegovina?
Okay, I'm pretty sure this is him. Right, is that him? It's a small picture.
Go to your window and zoom in. Like if you're in,
it doesn't let me zoom when I'm
Chrome.
like recording
it.
Hold on, let me just see if I can go to images and see if I can find a different picture.
Yeah, he just replied to me, yes, for the Colorado Rapids.
That's his last name, right? Yeah. And he's like 5 foot. What does he say he is?
He said 5'5.5" is what he says.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you guys knew that now.
Yeah. So he says he just replied back to me, yes, for Colorado Rapids. Is what he
is. He here? Is he watching? Is this him? That's the last name.
So he said, played soccer since I was able to walk all the way until I messed with my meniscus last year. So if you find an Admir on the Colorado Rapids.
That's the one. That's the one that they're saying. So I don't know. Anyways.
Okay.
Fun fact about Admir. I don't know if we knew that.
Did he no, he's not watching.
All right.
All right. Well, so anyways. besides all that. But other people are saying if you wanted to zoom on different things, if you
I'm
try
testing
Alt
it. I saw
F4,
that. I'm testing it right now. That
Sorry.
fuck, that closes the window. Fuck you, last cranberry.
That's funny.
What's the one I saw? I don't remember who it was. Oh, but that
Here,
they told him to
I'm-
play
I-
there's another one that like makes your screen go black. There's another one. I don't know which one that is. I'm not listening to you
Admir's
fuckers
here.
anymore.
You want to ask me again?
Admir, what is your last name? Do you care?
No, just show him a picture.
Oh, all right, Admir, is this you? Go to images. Is this you? Admir Soljevich? Is he in the chat?
You fuckers, 5'5.5" is tall. Admir, is this you on the screen? I'm assuming if it's the team.
All right. I don't know. Anyways, now you know Admir's last name. He said it on live. It's not like I'm breaking news here. He told us, he said it on a live that he played for the Rapids. Jen just doesn't listen when I'm live because she's annoyed with me all the time.
I mean, I listen. Just sometimes you drone on for certain things. So, I mean, you were putting everyone to sleep last night with freaking Spencer.
What do you want me to do? I enjoyed that. That was one of my favorite conversations. That was great.
Oh, and so Admir says no, but I know him, and he's from my town. So that's not him in that picture.
Okay, just another Admir from the same place. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
All right, do your thing, Jen.
All right, so we've got about 2.5 hours left of the show. We do this each day, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. We go on TikTok when Jay doesn't get us banned over there, but you got us on Twitch and YouTube, so we're glad that you're here.
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it. If you aren't a subscriber, please be one, and a member on YouTube. What?
I like how you were. If you're not a subscriber, please be one. I like that.
Just become one, because all cool kids are doing it. So
I like that.
All the cool kids. Peer pressure is the best. So yeah, on Twitch you can use your Amazon Prime sub, and it won't cost you anything. You use basis of money. It's one thing you do have to renew each month. It doesn't automatically renew. On YouTube, you can subscribe for free, but we also have 4 different memberships. With being a paid subscriber and paid member on the two, we have different subscriber or member events. Tomorrow Jay's going to be on a panel. And so you won't have to be in the incel chat with everybody else. You can have the private stream, so you don't have to read all the vile shit if you don't want to. What?
Did Admir get her new nickname? What? Why are there so many people saying his new nickname is Pegmere? What happened?
Oh, you didn't hear that night?
I remember. Well, I remember Amanda asking Pops about getting pegged, but I didn't know. I didn't.
Admir talked about it quite a bit. He was just telling Pops to relax and it's okay. And Admir took it.
Yeah, he did. That sounds like he did take it.
Yeah, he took it pretty far left. But that's our Admir.
All right.
Anyway, if you haven't subscribed, please do so you can join us for the member only events. If you guys disagree with RTP and you'd like to come on and talk to him in real time, how you can do that is you look at the Venmo. That's my Discord username. You can DM me on Discord and I can bring you on and talk every time. Check out our link tree. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on a Cameo, and we upload these episodes to Spotify. I want to bring up the Spotify. We've got a bunch of episodes, and we're trying to get over there. Things moving along. I'm trying to figure out some kind of contest where we can get people to go and watch more of our episodes, so that we can expand that way.
Okay.
If anyone's in the Discord and has an idea how we need to get to 10,000 viewing hours and 2,000 people to watch an episode. So I'm trying to figure out how we can do that and knock that out sooner rather than later. So at a minimum, if you guys could go, you can just turn on an episode, just turn it on your computer, let it run. That would be awesome. That would help us out. And then, yeah, the gift goal. I know I need to send you an updated total, but we're pretty far away from hitting that gift goal. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all that go towards knocking that out so we can keep doing this each day, Monday through Friday. So yeah, there's all that. What is the sequel to Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer?
Thanks for the sub.
I don't know.
Grandpa got run over by a train deer.
Train deer? All right, I don't know. I'm a little fucked up right now. Johnny Longtrail said that Santa Cruz is not Northern California, and I thought that's stupid. And then I pulled up the map, and it's like Central California. Yeah, you're right.
So
I've always
just
Northern
California.
It's like, is it okay? It looks like it's dead center. I'm looking at the map, and I don't know about that.
No, Santa Cruz is Northern California.
But if we look at the map here, we zoom in on California. Here's the top. It almost looks more south than north.
No, you don't understand the whole. There's rules for what's considered Northern California and Southern California. There's rules, and
what are the rules?
I have to pull it up for you, but there's lines. Like Central California is there. There's Santa Cruz is considered
Northern. All right, take that then. But I agree by placement. I'm with Johnny Longtrail there on placement. By placement, it does not look like it is Northern California.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jen. Did I miss any there? I know there was. Well, you guys are wanting the Epstein shit today. Tony said, "I love the MAGA voice." Oh no. Thank you. It's kind of stolen from Family Guy. All right. I want to show you Bill O'Reilly. Remember, I showed you guys. Is it this one? I showed you guys this clip yesterday of Bill O'Reilly being confused about when Epstein was arrested, because right now what Republicans are trying to do is trying to figure out a way to take all of the attention off of Trump. That Trump said, "I'm going to release these Epstein files and don't worry about it." And now that they're not, they're trying to scramble and flip this and figure out a way that this isn't Trump's fault. And Bill O'Reilly is out there doing it, and he's just past his prime. He's not equipped for this. So this is what I showed you yesterday.
The Biden administration had exactly the same thing the Trump administration has on Epstein. Exactly. Right. Because Epstein was convicted during the Biden administration. Not one time did Hakeem Jeffrey call for any exposition of what the Biden Justice Department knew. Not once. So this guy's a top phony. Okay, he's a political player. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't care about the people.
Hold on, Bill.
This is what
hold on.
he
I
does.
just got. Hold on, Bill. Hold on. You said Epstein was convicted during the Biden administration. Epstein committed suicide during the Trump administration.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so I showed you that clip. What I missed is that he doubled down on it in the same interview. So here's the rest of the interview here. We did it again. He just kept going. He doubled down on it.
How is he convicted? How do you convict
Epstein
a guy who's dead?
was convicted I believe, under Merrick Garland's Justice Department. That could be. Am I wrong on that? I don't think so. And he was incarcerated.
You ever get that when somebody says something that is wrong? You're like not quite 100% sure. You're like, I'm pretty sure that's crazy. But then you don't want to give it. That's where he's at right now. He's like, man, am I crazy? Did this not? I swear I remember that this happened when Trump was president. And now he's bringing up Merrick Garland. So he's literally, I think he's probably reading something from his producer now or Googling it.
And then he committed suicide. Okay. The suicide thing is bull. Whether you
Bill, I think this is important. Bill, I think this is important. He was arrested in 2019. And he committed suicide in 2019. He died August 10th of 2019. So the Biden administration was not involved in a conviction or a trial of him. They were of Ghislaine Maxwell.
And that's a good point of clarification. But he was a
yeah, because what you're trying to do is say that Merrick Garland hid all of this from the American people, and that's why it's okay that Trump's not keeping his promise, because it was Merrick Garland's fault. So that is an important clarification there that decimates your entire argument. That somehow the arrest, the death, and the cover-up all happened under Trump. Biden released some files. Then when Trump got into office, they took the files that had been declassified under Biden and they put them in a folder with a title that said most transparent administration in history. And they gave it to a bunch of conservative influencers who were like, wait, we already fucking read this. The Biden administration already did this. And now they're trying to like backtrack and create some way to spin this so that they can convince you that lying to you about all this stuff was okay. And some of you, most of you aren't falling for it. There's a couple dipshits in here who are falling for it.
Yeah, what I actually believe is that the Biden administration, they could have released it, but instead they deleted it, and they only deleted some of it, and they deleted some of it because they're also playing 4D chess, and they were ahead of this administration. They deleted the videos, so when this administration tried to release the videos aren't there, and it makes them look bad. They're so corrupt and so manipulative, and they're playing 4D chess. Also, Joe Biden can't complete sentences or have a thought of his own, but somehow just piece all that together. Donald Trump's not a problem. It is the dumbest fucking conspiracy theory. One of my Republican friends texted me this morning, and he literally just said, like, do they really think that we're that fucking stupid? That's what he texted me this morning. I knew exactly what, like, immediately. I'm like, are you talking about Epstein, right? He's like, yeah, like, do you think that there are people who are buying this shit that Trump's laying out? This is a Trump voter, by the way, who's changed his mind. And I said, yeah, come check out my chat. They're here. Here they are. They're all here. Yeah, totally. I think what really happened here is that Joe Biden deleted some of it
just because he knew he would make Trump look bad. So now Bill O'Reilly, now that his entire narrative's blown, now listen to the spin.
Conviction or a trial of him. They were of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Okay. And that's a good point of clarification. But he was arrested and indicted under Merrick Garland.
No, under Trump.
Who had all
under
of the
Trump.
information.
Epstein was arrested, indicted, and committed suicide under Trump. In 2019, Trump was president. Merrick Garland was not the attorney general.
Okay.
How
We're going to watch that silence again one more time.
Arrested, indicted, and committed suicide under Trump. In 2019, Trump was president. Merrick Garland was not the attorney general.
Well, fuck. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Okay.
Okay.
How is he convicted? How do you convict?
It's so bad. Trump goes on True Social. I think this was today. I pulled it. I don't go on True Social, so I pulled it from the Donald Trump post from True Social. This is from 7/16, 9:43. Yeah. Okay. So this is from this morning. And here's what Trump decided to tell you guys today. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again, just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, which is neither fake nor fully discredited. Unsubstantiated would be a good word for that. The Steele dossier has claims in it that are unsubstantiated. That's a fair assessment of the Steele dossier. But fake and fully discredited would be two words being used incorrectly, or two terms being used incorrectly. Much of the Steele dossier was verified. Much of it was not. Even though, like, most of it you weren't going to be able to verify, like those claims, like the P tapes. Until you get the P tapes, you can't really verify that. But so you could say that it was full of unproven accusations. That'd be fair, but not fake and fully discredited. The lying 51 intelligence agents, I would challenge anybody that's a Republican who thinks that those intelligence agents lied. I would offer you an invitation. You can come up here. We can talk about it. We'll read the letter together, and you can show me what they lied about in the letter. They did not lie in that letter. The laptop from hell, I don't know what that means. I don't know what the lie is there, which the Dems swore had come from Russia. which nobody said came from Russia. They said the story seemed to have come from Russia. Once again, this guy's an idiot. And we have to stop pretending that you can only lie like this if you are, one, a complete sociopath, or two, a fucking idiot. Or it could be a combination of both. But nobody lies like this who is a sane person. This is absolute insanity to come off the top with a bunch of things that weren't lies. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom. Also, what? The laptop didn't come from Hunter Biden's bathroom. You're just thinking about his dick, dog. You're just thinking about his dick pics. The laptop probably came from like a Best Buy. It did not come from his bathroom. You just want to remind the people reading this that we have pictures of Hunter Biden's dick. That's all you're doing with that part, which I thought was weird. This is now, I mean, he is obsessed over Hunter Biden's dick and Arnold Palmer's dick. Both of those men allegedly, with Arnold Palmer and conclusively with Hunter Biden, had big dicks. And Trump seems to be really fucking into that, which is fine. I think that's great for him. If he likes big dicks and he cannot lie, that's his preference. And even the Russia scam itself, which again, 35 indictments, multiple guilty verdicts, multiple people admitting to crimes. So I don't even know how we can call that a scam, and a totally fake and made up story used in order to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big loss in the 2016. We saw that she lost. I don't think they were hiding that. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. None of those were scams or hoaxes. They are no good at governing, facts. No good at policy, facts. And no good at picking winning candidates, facts again. There we go. Look, we got agreement with Trump. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. No. They do it when Trump's in office. They don't do it when Biden's in office. Then we had some fracturing. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. It's a hoax now, folks. The thing you've been talking about for 9 straight years, now it's a hoax. And my past supporters have bought into this bullshit, in quotations for some reason. Hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will. Even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years, I've had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. That's crazy. And all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Again, Jeffrey Epstein's a hoax, guys. All this time we thought Republicans were really interested in Jeffrey Epstein. Turns out it was a hoax. Let these weaklings, that's any of you Republicans that are here, who care about the Epstein files, not only have you bought into the bullshit, but you are weaklings. And he says, let these weaklings continue forward and do the work for the Democrats. Not only are you weaklings, you're not thinking for yourself. We're controlling your minds, just so you know. The only reason any of you care about the Epstein list is because me, my evil Democrat friends, are controlling your mind. You're too stupid to figure this shit out on your own, says Donald Trump. You gotta just stop using your own brain and use his brain. You bought into this bullshit because the Democrats, us, we're way smarter than you. We're really fucking you guys up. Don't even think about taking our talking of our incredible and unprecedented success. Don't talk about it, motherfuckers, because I don't want your support anymore. I don't even want it. I didn't want to be friends with you anyways. If you're going to be critical of me, we're not friends. I don't want your support. Take down your flags. Are you going to take down your flags, MAGA? You don't want your support anymore. Are you going to keep supporting him even though he doesn't want it? Or is this one of those things, like one of those breakups, like, you can't do better than me? Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. It's the President of the United States of America. Not a 4th grader that wrote that. Not a middle school kid breaking up with his girlfriend. No, that's the President of the United States writing a breakup letter to the people who have the audacity to question his judgment when it comes to releasing the Epstein files. You dumb bitches. How could you fall for these obvious, phony, fraudulent Democrats and think that the Epstein list is real and that the government not showing you these documents is a problem? You weak little bitches. You deserve to be Democrats then if you're going to be that weak. If you are not going to listen to Donald Trump and buy everything he says without question, then you are weak. When I was in a cult, which I was in, oftentimes, in anybody, where's my ex-Mormon friends? You all know this. I had a friend, good friend, not really good friends anymore. And he found out that I had left the cult, and he wasn't happy about that because he was in the cult, and cult members want other people to stay in the cult because their entire life revolves around the cult, and their happiness revolves around feeling like they're checking off all the things that you're supposed to do to be a good cult member. And it's like getting a gold star, right? Like I give the church 10% of my income. I don't work on Sunday. My family, like my mom, she would like try and compete with the other Mormon parents. They'd be like, my kids only can watch an hour of TV on Sunday. And my mom would be like, take this. My kids don't watch TV on Sunday. And then one parent would be like, my kids, they get home from church and they change their clothes out of their church clothes. And then they go out and play. And my mom's like, well, you know what? You guys should stay in your church clothes the whole day. That'll show respect to Jesus if you stay in your shirt and your tie all day long. And that's what it breeds. And so you learn like this reward system where when you keep the rules, you're rewarded. And when you don't keep the rules, you're shunned or shamed. So, for example, the first time I felt a boob in my life, which was a cool experience, highly recommend. The first time I did that, I had so much guilt that I had to go and I had to tell a grown man that I touched a boob. And he asked me a lot of details about how I touched the boob and if the nipples got erect, just totally normal things to ask a teenage kid. And then on Sunday, I sat in the audience with everybody else. And when they came around with the water and the bread, which is the sacrament, I was not worthy to take that sacrament because I had touched a boob. And so I had to take that tray of water and bread and pass it along. Most of the people in church are watching as each person takes the bread and the water, and they are judging. Why did that person not take the bread and the water? And so you are then incentivized to lie so that you don't face public ridicule, but then you have to deal with the internal guilt. So inside, you're reeling because you did something cool like touching a boob, but you weren't supposed to because Jesus said don't touch them. And then you want to avoid public ridicule, so then you lie, and then you have this guilt cycle, right? This is how high-demand religions work. This is how cults work. So when you have behavior that is outside of what the cult leader wants, you get shunned. And that's what you're feeling right now, MAGA. Those of you who care about the Epstein files, you are currently being shunned. You are being shamed. You are being beaten into submission. That's what they're trying to do. Everybody's just changing their tune now. Oh, these files don't matter. They don't matter at all. How dare you question our leader? Look at all this success that he's had, and you want to focus on this? Yeah. You're being shunned. It fucking sucks. Dude, this is why cults suck. Because even when you leave this MAGA cult, and some of you will, even when you leave, there are going to be remnants of you where you're going to feel guilt. It was an interesting transition for me because I believed that the Democrats were evil. I believed that they were these evil communists that wanted to take over everybody's power, and that's why I was a Republican. And then I wasn't a Republican anymore, and I'm like, well, I sure as shit am not going to be a Democrat. So I slid on over to the Libertarians. I was like, hey guys, tell me about this, and they told me some things I liked. I was like, I like that. And then I started talking to like some lefties, and I was like, oh, I like that too. And then suddenly I find myself over here. But during that process, I legitimately felt guilt for like criticizing capitalism. Same way you guys do. Like I made a video the other day about, or it was just a clip of it saying that like all the things that you hate in your life are capitalism, which is a way to say that sometimes capitalism has negative consequences, and the places that it hurts us, we should probably fix. The comment sections are like, oh, show me a place where communism has worked. Yeah, you're in a cult. You believe that like there's one way to do things and that you have to be strictly obedient to that. And even considering a different way makes your insides boil. And so you go, oh, show me a different way. Show me another way that's worked. If that way doesn't work, do something different. try a mix of things, right? That's what my political beliefs are. They're just a mix of things. That's why I'm not a Democrat. But what Trump is trying to do now is manipulate and control you. And he does that first by manipulating and controlling the people in Congress. So you have people in Congress who have been campaigning for years to release the Epstein files, now telling you, don't listen to these fucking idiots that are trying to get you all riled up. But they've been doing that fucking idiot shit for the last 8 years. They're literally telling you, you should never have listened to me. You should have listened to Trump the whole time. Never listen to me again. Only listen to Donald Trump. That's what we're hearing now. Ty said, can you pull up the clip? Trump just spoke about Powell and said he's surprised he was appointed and that Biden put him in. Let's see. I did not see that. Pull up Trump, Jerome Powell. No way. No fucking way.
It does hurt people wanting to get a mortgage. People want to buy a house. He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in.
Trump appointed Jerome Powell, not Joe Biden. What the fuck, guys? Come on. Just admit it. Can you guys be honest for a second? Please? This guy's a fucking idiot. We can't be honest about this. He's blaming Joe Biden. They're blaming Joe Biden for the Epstein stuff that happened under Trump. Now they're blaming Jerome Powell on Biden. Yeah, exactly. Kristen, for fuck's sakes, what is going on? That's crazy. He doesn't know. You can't be the people who are like, Joe Biden is not cognitively there, and then be like, oh, this guy's got it together. I don't know if anybody corrected. That's the first time I've seen it. I don't even know if that's dementia. He's always been stupid. He creates his own reality. He's always done that. Every time he lost a business, he's just like, oh, no, that was actually a smart decision for me to fold that business. It was a smart decision for me to declare bankruptcy. True, it was a smart decision. But what about all the shit that led to you declaring bankruptcy? Maybe you were dog shit at running a business, and that's why you had to declare bankruptcy. Smart exit. We'll give it to you. You protected yourself in the exit, but the reason you had to exit is because you're a dipshit. This guy's so fucking stupid. It blows my mind every day that some of you show up like, oh yeah, this is a good guy. This is a smart guy. Thank you, Ty, for sending that. That is unbelievable. One person that appears at least not to be swayed is Marge. However, Marge is going to, she's going to try and fence it. Here's an example. So yesterday, the Democrats tried to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. The Democrats tried to force this vote, take it to the House floor, and force the Republicans to put their name next to it. All the Republicans voted against it. And what Marge is about to tell you here is true. But as people who are voters and as people who are on the outside who don't, like, we're not playing like the party politics stuff, I just want you to pay attention here. What she's saying is true. And it also is a justification for why they're not giving you the truth. They're now telling you that they can't tell you the truth about Epstein because if they do, then Democrats will get to ask other questions.
I got to correct something real quick.
Please.
So it's being reported that House Republicans unanimously voted to block the release of the Epstein files, and I want to straighten out the record right now. That is not true. If I could vote, okay. If I could vote to release the Epstein files, guys, you would have my vote. I would vote yes. Here's what just happened. It was a procedural vote, and we have these all the time. It's called a PQ. It's voting on the previous question. And if the Democrats had won the previous question, which I know sounds insane, it's one of these crazy rules in the House that are hard to understand, that means they would control the House floor. And that means they could bring up anything. They could bring up impeachment articles against President Trump. They could bring up a whole package of insane Democrat agenda items and force votes on the House floor on these things. That's what we voted against. We never allowed Democrats to have control of the House floor because we control the House floor.
Yes.
So it's a misunderstanding, and I just wanted to straighten that out. I got to correct something real quick.
That's the argument. So now here's the question. If that's what she's saying, if that's the truth, and it kind of true, you could set a condition that you can only bring up this one topic, or Republicans could vote on whether Republicans could vote to bring it to the floor for a vote. The reality is, like, they're pretending that this is a political game that the Democrats are playing to bring up other things. But the truth is, it is a political game. And it is a way for Democrats to force Republicans to be transparent, which will hurt Republicans. I 100% agree that there are a lot of Democrats who do not give a fuck about this. And that including myself. Like, this is not a top issue for me. We're covering it all the time. And I do think that Democrats are trying to force Republicans to be transparent because this is an obvious place where Republicans have lied and hid things from their voters. So it's political. It's a political move. But if what she's saying there, if they're so principled and the only reason they're opposing this is because they don't want Democrats to have control of the House floor, then they can vote on it themselves. They can bring the motion. What justification would any Republican have for not demanding the release of the Epstein files? And they say, like, whoever it was that was on here yesterday is like, oh, well, what about these videos? Like, a lot of this is like child, what do you even call it? Abuse videos. Yeah. Write a provision that you're not going to put those up. This is also the way that they're objecting to this tells you that they know goddamn well it's a cover up, because everything they're saying is why, like, all the reasons they're coming up with for why they can't release this list, they could solve themselves. They can solve all of these problems, which tells me that it's not really about releasing the information. It's about them conceding to Donald Trump. And this is a weird thing. This is a strange moment where the president is ran on, I will be transparent. And now when you're asking for that transparency, he's like, you guys don't know what you want. I think it's bizarre. I don't know why some of you are still on board with this. If I'm a Republican, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to start looking at the other things that Trump told me were true. I'm going to go look at all the other things that were questionable. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the Russiagate stuff. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the Ukrainian impeachment. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the stolen election claims. I'm going to go look at all these things because it's very clear now that Donald Trump lies. I'm going to go back and I'm going to revisit his court cases. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at those 34 felonies that were elevated from misdemeanors. Is that something that only happened to Donald Trump, or has that happened thousands of times? Have they used that exact statute thousands of times? I would go look at that. I would go look at, like, was it different the way that Joe Biden held on to classified documents than it was the way Trump held on to classified documents? I would look at that. I would say, did the FBI ever have to demand getting documents back from Joe Biden? Did he ever tell them no? Did they ever have to raid because he was telling them no? I would go back and look at all of that. I would go back and look at his claims of Stormy Daniels, and I would look how that evolved. From when it started, I don't know her. Then it was, I do know her, but I didn't pay her. Then it was, I paid her, but it's not illegal. I would go back and I would look at that story and I'd be like, huh, that's weird. I would go back and I would look at the story of the meeting Trump had with that Don Jr. had with the Russians in Trump Tower. And I would go back and I would watch how that unfold. You get a story that's released, I think, by the New York Times, that these Russians came to meet with Don Jr. at Trump Tower. And they came out and they said, no, that never happened. They're making that up. This is fake news. And then it was confirmed by multiple sources, including the Russians who were there. And so they said, yeah, it happened. But they weren't talking about what you said they were talking about. They were talking about adoptions. What was reported is that they were talking about exchanges, that Russia would give dirt on Hillary Clinton if Trump agreed to help them bring back Bill Browder. who exposed their entire financial system. That's what was being reported. And then it turns out that was true too. So true that Don Jr. had to put out a statement explaining that his dad wasn't there. But weirdly, the statement sounded a lot like Trump. And so people said, did your dad write this? He's like, no. Then it turns out his dad did write it. So I would go back and I would look at all of these stories and how Trump's first response is to lie. And then when he's caught, it's just to tweak the story a little bit and tweak the story a little bit and tweak the story a little bit. And you guys go along with it because these small tweaks make sense in your head, but you've never collectively looked at the story that Donald Trump has told us. Donald Trump is a con man. He's a liar. He has lied about almost everything he's ever told you. And if I were you and I was watching how easy it is for him to lie to you about obvious things, I would revisit the other shit I believed that he told me. I would revisit it and I would take a deep dive. If you're intellectually curious, that's probably what you're going to do. If you're just somebody who just like lives and dies with politics and you're a ride or die for the Republicans, you're not going to look that up. But for those of you who claim that you're independent thinkers, if I were you, I would probably go revisit that stuff. And I would say, what was the opposite side of this story? Did I get the opposite side of this story? Or did I just believe Donald Trump? That's what I would do. But only if I was intellectually curious. If I was just here to dick ride for Trump, I wouldn't do that because that wouldn't go well. I do want to show you, this will probably get clipped out of our show, but The Daily Show, I think did a great job summarizing. And I'm going to have two big summaries. There's going to be some overlap here. I'm going to go overkill on the Epstein stuff today. And then hopefully they either release every fucking time, JP, every fucking time we try and talk about politics, your mind goes to trans people. Just take a little time, take a little 3-minute break. Grab your phone, hit the incognito browser, head to the bathroom, come back in 3 minutes when you can focus on this, okay? I know that there's some stuff happening in your head right now that you need to clear out. Nothing like a little post-nut clarity to go over the Epstein files. We'll see you in 3 minutes, JP. Unless that's somebody close to you. You have their office number, their fax number, their assistant's number, their wife's number, their home number, all their residence numbers. 14 different contact numbers for somebody that you barely knew. Barely knew. How do you get all your contact numbers? I barely knew him. I just give out my number to everybody. Is that going to be the excuse? Yeah, Trump notoriously just always gave out, like every time he met somebody, he's like, here's 14 numbers and ways to reach me. Casual. That could happen to anybody. That could happen to anybody. I know that if I was on a private jet of somebody I barely knew, I would probably try and fuck somebody on their private jet while we were flying together if I didn't know them very well. That wouldn't be weird at all. Just like, oh, thanks for the lift. My name's Don. This is Melania. Nice to meet you, Jeff. By the way, we're gonna go fuck in the back now. Totally normal behavior for people who don't know each other.
You might be thinking
it was turbulence to blame. They were soaking, and using the turbulence as their modifier. That's true.
fine. They were friends. They hung out.
Because Trump wouldn't have sex outside of wedlock as a good Christian man. Bitch, he was at your club. He was a member of your club. He was your friend. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you know what? Now that I think of it, I guess they were in Palm Beach. I had a very public dispute with him about land. He was a member of my club. I hosted parties for him. He came to my casino. He called me when he needed rooms. We hosted events together. But I guess, yeah, maybe, you know what? Now that you think of it, I do think I heard of an Epstein somewhere in Palm Beach. I don't know. I heard of it. I wish her well. Yeah, thank you. I wish her well. She was trafficking children to this guy. I wish her well. And I just as a fellow Palm Beacher, you know, we stick together out there in Palm Beach. I just wish her well. That's such a fucking crazy thing to say to somebody who's on trial for trafficking children. Yeah, you know, I hope things go well for her. They asked him about Joe Biden's cancer, and his response was basically like, yeah, fuck that guy. I don't feel bad for him. Joe Biden had a cancer diagnosis. He's like, fuck that guy. Yeah, we've all watched you, dude. We know that you don't wish people well unless you like them. This guy never wishes anybody well that he doesn't like. That's crazy. He literally told Joe Biden to get fucked because he got cancer. Same guy's like, I that's just what I do. I'm just a nice guy. I wish everybody well. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. I'm such a kind, compassionate, empathetic person that I can't help it. It just comes out. Every time somebody's going through something, I'm like, I wish you well. I hope that goes well for you. I hope your human trafficking case goes well. It was children you were trafficking. Oh, great. Yeah, well, I wish you well on that. Let me know how it goes. On him in the same way that al-Baghdadi died, like a dog. He also has no range. This guy has no like intellectual range. He doesn't like he can't like insult people very well. So he's just like, she cheated like a dog. Baghdadi died like a dog. I ate my hamburger and he ate his hamburger. Guess what? Like a dog. Just everything's like a dog. I don't even know. Do dogs cheat? I guess. I mean, my dogs are pretty faithful to each other. They hump each other a lot. I've never seen my dogs hump another dog. I don't know. I mean, they might know. Maybe dogs are notoriously cheaters. But also ironic coming from a guy on his third wife. Third wife. It cheated on all of them. It's just ironic that he's the one that's like, don't take her back, Robert. Cheaters never stop cheating. They're not honest, you know. They say once if somebody cheats that you can't trust them. That's what they say. Not me, though, Robert.
So, to sum up.
And second of all, fuck you, Team Jacob. Okay, there we go. Shit's monogamous. I mean, rhetorical. There you go. All right, let me check messages here real quick. Just a reminder, we are crowd-funded, and we're going to talk a lot of Epstein today, and we don't have TikTok here today, which is great. That means I can say whatever I want to say, which is going to include this. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, those are the usernames up there, and if you're watching on Twitch, they're over there. If everybody that was here dropped $1, we knocked this gift goal out in a hurry, and then please remember to subscribe either to YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch. Paid subscriptions will give you access to our Discord tomorrow night when I have an open panel debate. Let me just give you an update on that as well, because now I have a prompt and an understanding of how this is going to go. Hopefully it's still going, because I'm currently battling with Sarah on Twitter about me defending women, which is fucking wild. Tomorrow, 9:15 Eastern, the prompt will be Medicare for all is the best possible solution to stabilize healthcare and give power back to the American people. That is my prompt that I chose and I will be defending. So from 9:15 to 10:15, the first hour, it will be Sarah and I, and she's going to act, I believe, as an interrogator, not as a debater, but she's going to push back on my ideas and ask probing questions for the first hour. And then from 10:15 until whenever I get too tired, we'll have an open panel where people can come up one by one and challenge my claims. Again, the claim tomorrow is Medicare for all is the best possible solution to stabilize healthcare and give power back to the American people. And if you want to watch that with us instead of in the white nationalist hellhole of the Raging Tomato chat section, then just make sure you're a paid subscriber either on TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch. And let's go on to the next one. Here is Mehdi Hasan's deep dive on Trump. We're just gonna pile on here. As I said before, there's going to be some overlap here, so I apologize. But a more serious approach here from Mehdi Hasan, who I don't know if there's a better investigative journalist in the world. CoffeeZilla is pretty fucking good. Mehdi Hasan is probably even a little bit better. Very few people are as thorough and informed as Mehdi Hasan, and I apologize for you Republicans that you don't have anything even remotely close to this. Like, your version of Mehdi Hasan is Candace Owens, and that sucks. I wish you guys had somebody better.
It's not over Trump's Medicaid cuts or his mass deportation campaign. They love all of that. What they don't love is that
Thanks, Rachel, for joining the $2 train.
Trump DOJ is now denying that the late child sex offender and disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein had any kind of quote-unquote client list, or that his death was anything other than a suicide. They're mad at Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi, accusing her of incompetence, or worse, a cover-up. But how come MAGA is never mad at Trump for,
Because it's a cult. That's why you're in a cult. If you can't be mad at somebody for lying to you all the time, you're in an abusive relationship. And cults are abusive relationships. You're never mad at him because you don't ever accept that his lies are real lies. They're either accidents, or he meant something different, or he's being taken out of context, or just everybody else is lying and making up facts. And the fact that Trump has no facts and everybody else has nothing but facts is proof that Donald Trump is actually right, because wouldn't he have some facts? And since he doesn't have any facts, that means he's right by this weird circular logic that you use. That's why. But mostly it's because you are in a cult. And let me just tell you something. Before you shout, I'm not in a cult, you're in a cult. Nobody in a cult ever knows they're in a cult. You're not a good representative. You're not the person to know. The people outside of the cult are always the ones that are like, you're in a cult. And the people in the cult are always like, I'm not in a cult. That's what they all have in common. I'm not in a cult. I'm going to move to this island with Jim Jones. I'm not in a cult. I'm just killing Hollywood stars because my guy told me to. The leader told me to. I'm not in a cult. Keith Raniere just brands me and uses me as a sex object, but I'm not in a cult. I'm not in a cult. Joseph Smith just married me as his 45th wife, but I'm not in a cult. I'm not in a cult, but the government hates us, and that's why we're at a war with them in Waco, Texas right now. But I'm not in a cult. The people in the cult never know they're in a cult. But those who are outside, those who have escaped a cult, you recognize a cult when you see it, and MAGA is a cult. That's why you never get mad. Because you treat him in a way that you don't treat any other human beings outside of God. Where even when he fucks up, his fuck-ups become true. Because he never admits that he fucks up. So you're left with this thing like, wait a minute. It seemed like he fucked up, but he says he didn't fucked up, and everybody around him says he didn't fuck up, so he must not have fucked. I must be wrong here. It's me that's wrong. And then you just start saying, look, it's not for me to understand, but I just trust him, and I know that everybody that's against him is just against him because they hate him, and they always make up lies, so I don't even listen to that stuff anymore. I just listen to what he's saying, and I go with it. That's what they do in cults. They separate you from reality. They separate you from family. They separate you from friends. They separate you from any dissenting voice. And they create this gap of, oh, those dissenting voices are coming from the dark side, from Satan, from the evil communists of the Democrat Party, for the Satanists. And they just start labeling people as evil. And then you're like, oh, I can't be on that side. So I guess I guess I'll accept this truth because I'm incentivized to be over here. Otherwise, I see what happens when you believe like them. You're a demon. That's why it's a cult.
Being friends with Jeffrey Epstein for all his connections to Epstein over the decades. How come they never saw the writing on the wall when Trump got quite prickly and even nervous last year when he was asked on Fox about declassifying a certain set of files?
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives.
David White, I'd like to answer that question because I think that I want to be clear. That's a fair question. You said, why were you, along with any other media outlet, this upset? I think you meant to say, why weren't you? I think probably, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Why weren't we this upset from 2020 to 2024? Because we weren't the one making up lies about it. You guys have been telling us forever, and you've been using it to win elections forever, that Jeffrey Epstein was a child sex trafficker who was being protected by Democrats. And Democrats are evil, and Democrats abuse children. You made up the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, where all these Democrats who went to eat pizza got accused of running a sex trafficking ring in the basement of the pizza parlor. It didn't exist. One of your people showed up with a weapon, cleared the pizza place because he was going to catch everybody. And it turned out there wasn't a basement. There were no tunnels. All this stuff was fake. The reason we didn't cover it then is it was your accusation. You were telling us that we were covering it up to protect Democrats. That's why. That's why we weren't asking for it. We didn't believe you. I didn't see any connection. The connections I see to Clinton, we already admitted, like, yeah, we think Clinton was probably a bad guy. But Trump was too. So we were just like, hey, if we're going to do this, release it all then. You guys used it as a weapon against us to demonize us. So now when it comes time that you have the opportunity to prove all of your theories, y'all turn into bitches. That's why I'm covering it, because you are all bitches. You make all these claims and you say them definitively over and over and over again. And then when it comes time to give us the receipts, you want to prove to us that Democrats are evil, that they support child trafficking rings? This seems like a win for you. Imagine if you've got Obama and Biden and Oprah and Tom Hanks and the Clintons and John Podesta and James Comey and all these people that you claimed are on this list who are running cover for the people on this list. Imagine how great this would be for you to release that information. So all this shit you've been telling us, now we don't release it? And now I've got to look at it honestly. Now I've got to say, okay, you made all these claims, which I didn't believe in the first place. But your claims were that we were covering it up. And now you guys are actively covering it up. And oh, by the way, the person who gave Epstein a sweetheart deal that kept him out of prison just so happened to then have his next job in the Trump administration. And oh, by the way, Epstein's lawyer, who also was accused of abusing children, just so happens to go on Fox News every day and defend Donald Trump in all of his legal proceedings. And oh, by the way, the Attorney General of the state of Florida, who protected Epstein, just so happens to be Trump's pick for Attorney General. So all this evidence that you guys were telling us about doesn't exist. But there's tons of evidence that the people that actually did cover it up are working for this administration. And so I explained it earlier. This isn't our issue. It's yours. You guys turned it into a political issue. You turned it into a political weapon. You used it to convince unknowing people to believe that Democrats are evil and that they protect Jeffrey Epstein. You lied about it for years to win elections. And now when you have the opportunity to provide receipts, you're like, oh, you know what? Never mind. I can't believe you guys are upset about this. What the fuck? You're upset that we made all these accusations, and now when we have the opportunity to prove them, we're just saying never mind because our guy's on them? That's why we're covering it. And I would like to know from you why you are not agreeing with me right now that we should demand the release. Now that I've explained to you that we didn't really care about this, until now it's pretty fucking painfully obvious that the people that covered it up are all working in this administration, so much so that Dan Bongino's like, I'm going to fucking quit if you guys don't tell the truth. You got your own party fighting against each other, and we're just saying, we don't know either. I don't know if Trump's on it. I don't know if Bondi covered it up. I don't know if Acosta covered it up. Just show us then. And all of a sudden, you guys are incurious. Oh, we don't care about this. You know what? Not a big deal. That's pretty fucking convenient for you, isn't it? That's why we didn't talk about it, and that's why we're talking about it now. And by the way, if you want to talk about transparency, he died under Trump. The video went missing under Trump. They blamed Biden for deleting the video. The video still exists because we just released it. And the only files that Trump has released were actually released by Biden. So if we're going to talk about transparency, one of these two people was more transparent than the other. One of them, this dipshit, is still lying. And he's taking credit for what Biden declassified. So that's why we're talking about it. That's why we didn't talk about it then near as much, and that's why we're talking about it now. Because it was very unclear that Biden was covering something up. The evidence that Democrats were covering something up never made a lot of sense because it happened during the Trump administration. And now it's the Trump administration again, and they're being less transparent than the Biden administration. So all I can go on is what we know publicly. And what we know publicly is that the video footage that disappeared, apparently we have. We also know they edited the video, which is weird. We know there was a minute missing, and the explanation they've given to us, they've never substantiated that a minute every night goes missing. And now we know that there's 3 minutes missing from that tape, not just 1 minute missing from that tape. So we have a lot of questions. We have a lot, and this is exactly what happened to Nixon. And I want to be like, Nixon, he helped orchestrate a break-in into Watergate, which is, if you're unfamiliar with the story, that was the name of the building where the DNC was headquartered. And Nixon, at the very least, knew that this break-in was going to happen. He sends some guys in there, they get caught, and it's kind of like this, a little bit of a nothing burger story at first. A bunch of people get caught breaking into the DNC, no big deal. And then they start asking these guys questions. And then their answers aren't lining up. And it's like, wait, who you work for the administration? Who knew about this? And then the administration comes out. It's like, I did not know anything about this. These are not my people. This is just a smear campaign by the radical woke left. I dated one of the journalists who dated the granddaughter of one of the journalists who covered Watergate. And this journalist, his name was Jack Anderson. You can look him up. He's a very famous journalist if you're from the DC area. He was covering this at the time. And when he was driving home with his family in his car, they would have to drive erratically, run red lights, run stop signs, because they were being tailed and surveilled everywhere. And so you have journalists asking questions, the administration lying about it, dodging it, and it became a bigger story because their lack of candor and their lack of transparency made it very fucking clear. It became very fucking clear to everybody that, oh God, they're lying. To the point that even Republicans who first came out and said, yeah, this is just Democrat media trying to smear Nixon because they're mad they lost the election. And then eventually all of those people were like, you know what? Yeah, he did it. And he just had to resign. This is very similar. If they would have come out at the first place and been honest, this would go away. But they keep lying. They keep getting caught lying. So it's just building bigger and bigger and bigger. I used to have these tapes called the Safety Kids when I was a kid. I don't know if any of you guys had those. I don't know if that was a Mormon thing. But there was a song that was on there, like taught you lessons. Like, if you tell one lie, it leads to another. Then you tell one more, it leads to another. That's what's going on here. Every day that they come out and lie, it looks worse and worse and worse. And this isn't going away. It's just not going to go away till we get some sort of answer here. Those of you that are in the cult desperately want this to go away. Just like when I was in a cult, and our cult, who basically funded the Boy Scouts, got caught up. You remember when the Boy Scouts got caught abusing children? Those were mostly Mormons. The Mormons, like our young men's program, our youth program, was run by the Scouts. We did it together. So when I went to my youth nights, which was split up between the boys and the girls, the boys went to Scouts. And so most of these people that were abused were Mormons abused by Mormons. You would not believe how little the Mormons in my life wanted to talk about it. They will not talk about it. Go find an active Mormon and ask them about the Boy Scouts. Ask them about the sexual abuse in the Boy Scouts. They're not going to talk about it. They will talk about anything but that. They'll tell you about the time that they sent aid to Hurricane Katrina. They'll tell you about the good things that the church does, but they're not going to talk to you about the abuse. They're not going to talk to you about how they practiced polygamy. They're not going to talk to you about the millions and millions of dollars they spent fighting gay marriage. They're not going to talk to you about the millions of dollars and the lies that the Mormon Church told about recreation or medical marijuana and their campaign against that they did in the shadows. People in a cult cannot handle heat because inside the cult, you are perfect. And so any little crack in that facade is a huge fucking problem. Because if you figure out they lied about one thing, then people start questioning other things, and it's this domino effect that you've seen in Christianity and Mormons and all high-demand religions. They're bleeding membership. Because once you find out that they lied about one thing and covered it up, you can never trust them again. And so a lot of you are clinging to Trump like he's not covering this up. And then there's a lot of other people who aren't. And slowly but surely, people will fall off. And eventually it's going to be left. There'll be like a core of you that are left supporting Trump, and you're going to look like fucking idiots. And like most of you will abandon him. But there's going to be a core group, probably the people in this chat, that 20 years from now are going to be like, no, he totally didn't cover it up.
If it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
I don't know about Epstein as much.
Let's see. Marty said Trump will end up charging for the Trump brand Kool-Aid, and they'll pay top dollar, and it'll be dog shit too. Mary said, I'm here for Jay's energy and voices today. Danny, thanks for joining the Dollar Train.
As I do the others. Are you kidding me? Trump knows Epstein better than most people on planet Earth. So while MAGA may be obsessed with Pam Bondi and before her, the Clintons, we here at Zeteo have got you covered when it comes to Trump and Epstein. Everything you need to know about these two best buddies going back almost 40 years. So here we go. Let's start.
Real quick, Damasi, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. Said hopping aboard the cash caboose. Marty said, you the GOAT, big dog. Truly appreciate you. Appreciate what you do. Thanks, Marty. I appreciate your constant support. And Jen as well said thank you. Thank you, Jen, for joining the Dollar Train as well. I got most of those. Let me check Jen's messages real quick. I think we're up to date.
In 1987, that's when Epstein and Trump's friendship begins. At least that's what Trump told New York Magazine in 2002. By 1990, the two men have officially become neighbors after Epstein buys a mansion in Palm Beach, just 1 mile away from Trump's Mar-a-Lago. According to Roger Stone, Trump once said that Epstein's pool was filled with young girls when he visited, telling Stone that it was nice to see Epstein let the neighborhood kids use his pool. The neighborhood kids. In 1992...
That's not ideal. It's not ideal at all.
Epstein and Trump are filmed partying together at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club with cheerleaders for the Buffalo Bills and chatting about the women around them. That same year, Trump hosted an even more exclusive party at Mar-a-Lago for a, quote, calendar girl competition with just him, Epstein, and almost 30 women.
How do you explain that? How do you guys explain this? Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and 28 girls. How do we explain that? Just not friends? Not best buds? How do we explain that relationship any other way? I don't know.
Tim, Epstein, and almost 30 women. Between 1993 and 1997, Trump flies on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet at least 7 times. 7 times.
Courtney, that's fucking dark, but facts.
According to flight logs released by Trump's own AG Pam Bondi earlier this year. Now we come to the year 2000, a big year for the dynamic duo. Trump and Epstein are pictured together at Mar-a-Lago along with Melania, prior to her becoming Trump's third wife, and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's sidekick, who would later be convicted for child sex trafficking. 2000 was also the year that one of Epstein's most prominent victims, the late...
Robert, I got bad news for you. The Boy Scouts, the Mormon Boy Scout men, the leaders, almost exclusively Republican. Mormons are deeply conservative. They are probably one of the best voting blocks for Republicans in the country. So I appreciate you. This is what you do. Like, you guys equivocate. I'm giving you conservative, white Trump voters abusing children, and you're like,
Did the Democrats do a bad thing to you?
no. Like, the people that are most dangerous to my child are going to be white conservative men. That's who poses the biggest danger to my child, which is why I keep them away from ever being alone or controlled by white conservative men.
Virginia Giuffre was allegedly recruited into Epstein and Maxwell's sex ring while she was working as a locker room attendant at, wait for it, Mar-a-Lago. That same year, reporter Michael Corcoran of Maximum Golf magazine documents Trump greeting Epstein, Maxwell, and a young woman accompanying them as they board onto Trump's private jet along with Trump's family for a trip to Mar-a-Lago. Trump supporters like...
So not going to ask questions about this. Jeffrey Epstein doesn't have kids. Who's this 15 to 20-year-old girl rolling around with Jeffrey Epstein? We just don't ask questions about that. Johnny, I think I got yours. About Northern California? I don't see... I think I read that one. You said Santa Cruz is not in Northern California, and then you said it's not Northern California. Yeah, I read those.
To claim that their man had no idea about Epstein's pedophilia. And yet in 2002, in that interview with New York Magazine, Trump describes Epstein as a lot of fun and liking beautiful women almost as much as he did, specifically those, Trump says, on the, quote, younger side. Come 2004, though, Trump and Epstein have a major falling out after going to war over the purchase of a Palm Beach property. Trump ultimately won that battle, selling it off a few years later. Now, in 2008, Epstein is finally convicted for soliciting minors for prostitution, making him an official sex offender. Only he's granted a non-prosecution agreement signed off on by the U.S. Attorney for Southern Florida, Alex Acosta, who Trump would later hire as his labor secretary.
No. Hold on. You got this whole history with Jeffrey Epstein, and you vet these people. It's not like you would hire Alex Acosta and not know this. So you have this whole history with Epstein. Epstein is caught. At this point, Trump's president's 2017. Everybody knows who Jeffrey Epstein is. Everybody knows what he did. And everybody also knows that Alex Acosta gave him a sweetheart deal. And Trump's like, you know what? That seems like the right person to hire as a labor secretary. There certainly must not have been anybody more qualified to be labor secretary than a prosecutor. Why? Like, what were these special qualifications Alex Acosta had that made you be like, you know what? I know that you have this terrible history with Epstein, but you're so qualified that we're going to overlook that. SJ said, I don't care what Jen says. NorCal is north of San Francisco. Fair, but Santa Cruz is south of San Francisco. So now we got a problem there, SJ. We're going to keep having this civil war in California.
This allowed Epstein to plead guilty to only state, not federal charges, and avoid a possible life sentence. In 2015, Gawker publishes Epstein's infamous Black Book, which Epstein reportedly used to keep track of all his friends and associates. Not only is Donald Trump listed in it, but so...
That's a crazy thing to say, David. I would give your points relevance if you did a deep dive on Biden, Clinton, Obama, and all the other Dems. You won't. Classic. Why would I have to do a deep dive on all of them for you to accept this? That doesn't make any fucking sense logically. I only believe things if you like, I only believe a book or a study if it studies all things too. No, this is the only one that made sense. It didn't make sense. There was no reason to tie Epstein to Obama. There's no real connection there. There's no real connection between Epstein and Biden. Epstein and Clinton, sure, but I mean, he was president in the 90s. I think this is the same investigation. I think that if you release this stuff, you're going to see Bill Clinton's name in there too. So I actually am calling for both. And if you want the evidence on Clinton, fine. I'll give you the evidence on Clinton is he flew on the plane like something like 30 times. He had Jeffrey Epstein at the White House as a guest with Maxwell. He's a credibly accused multiple time sex predator. Bill Clinton is a scumbag. I have no problem believing that Bill Clinton is also on this list. But I accept that because of the evidence against Bill Clinton. I don't see evidence against Obama. I have never seen any evidence against Joe Biden. I've seen a lot against Donald Trump. I've seen a lot about Bill Clinton. To me, it makes sense that both of their names are probably going to show up here. And I would like to know why both of them were such close friends with Epstein and why neither one of them seemed to know what he was doing. I would like those answers for both Clinton and Trump. And I've given you the evidence in previous shows about Clinton, and I just did it again. So can we agree now, David, that I'm taking the people that have evidence against them and saying we should find this out? If you have evidence against Joe Biden and Obama when it comes to Epstein, please present it. I'll put it up. I'll show it. Put it in the chat. Send a link. Do so. I'll Google what you want me to look, but I've never seen a link to either of those. If there is a link to them, I'll also advocate for that, and I'll cover that information. Is that fair, David? Perfect.
Is his former wife Ivana, his current wife Melania, and his daughter Ivanka. 2019, Epstein is arrested by the FBI on sex trafficking charges. He's accused of sexually abusing dozens of underage girls. A month later, after being denied bail, Epstein is found dead in his jail cell after dying by suicide. Epstein's death then kickstarts a...
That's a good point, Nunya, actually. That's a good point. Trump and Clinton were also friends. That ties it together even more, doesn't it?
Wave of conspiracy theories, many of which Trump either fuels or refuses to deny.
Do you really think that Clintons are involved in Jeffrey Epstein's death? I have no idea. I know he was on his plane 27 times, and he said he was on the plane 4 times. But when they checked the plane log, Bill Clinton, who is a very good friend of Epstein, he was on the plane about 27 or 28 times. So why did he say 4 times?
Now, of course, Trump supporters would say I'm being a bit too hard on him, that he was just asking questions. Well, in that case, I have a question. If someone did manage to kill Epstein while he was in a federal prison, wouldn't it have been more likely to be someone with a bit more power than a former president, like Bill Clinton? Maybe someone like the guy who was actually president in 2019 when Epstein died.
No, that can't be it. That couldn't be it. No. It had to be the Dems. It could not have been the guy who was president. It could not be a guy that was over the Justice Department. It could not be him. Okay? It could not be Bill Barr. It couldn't be. Bill Barr wouldn't cover that up. It has to be Clinton. Clinton is so powerful that even when Trump picks his own people to lead the Department of Justice, Clinton still controls those people too. Trump is just powerless. He's just a little bitch. And really, it's Bill Clinton that's running everything.
I mean, I'm just asking questions. 2020, Trump sends well wishes to Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, after a reporter asks him about her being on trial. According to journalist and Trump biographer Michael Wolff, Trump considered pardoning Maxwell because he worried about what she might say at her trial. 4 years later, in 2024, just days before the election, Michael Wolff releases a series of audio recordings from interviews he did with Epstein in 2017. Listen to what Epstein says about his friendship with Trump.
So how do you know this?
That was closest friend.
Not only was he apparently his closest friend, but here's the big one. In June 2025, in the midst of their bitter feud, billionaire and former Trump ally and donor Elon Musk tweets, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files." Now, Musk has...
It is interesting that that's just kind of gone away. Trump will sue anybody. He tries to sue anybody. We're just going to let that one go. Nobody's going to follow up with Elon. Hey, what you mean by that? We're just going to let that one go? How many more people around Trump have to say, yeah, before you guys are willing to accept it?
Since deleted that tweet, maybe he realized it doesn't look great to have funded someone you claim was associated with a pedophile. But still, Musk made this huge accusation about Trump. And then we all
just cover this one. Robert, you said Trump in 1997 threw out Epstein of Mar-a-Lago for sexually harassing another guest young daughter. Remember, Epstein bought the island in 98. Trump never went to the island. I have never accused Trump of going to the island, but none of the abuse that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of happened on that island. It all happened in West Palm Beach, New York, and New Mexico. So it doesn't really matter. However, this story, if you look like, if we just Google this, did Trump kick Epstein out because of sexual harassment? I can't talk and type at the same time. Let's see where this story stems from. If I remember right, this story didn't surface until like years and years later. So the story is that Epstein was reportedly banned from Mar-a-Lago after he allegedly harassed or sexually assaulted a teenage girl who was the daughter of another member. Multiple sources, including court documents and investigative reporting, state that Epstein's account at the Palm Beach Club was closed in 2007 following this incident, and that Trump subsequently severed the ties with Epstein. The problem is we also had like a land dispute during that time. They were already fighting. So could that possibly be true? Yes. You accepting it as fact is, I think, disingenuous. I don't think you can accept that as fact. However, let's just play that. Let's just say that it is fact. Let's say that you're Donald Trump, and let's say that you've abused people, or that you knew Jeffrey Epstein was an abuser. Let's just say that. And then a parent comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm a member of this club. This person committed illegal acts against my child." What you think Trump, you think anybody, even an abuser, you think they're just gonna be like, "Yeah, fuck you, he gets to stay." Like, I don't know a single person. Like, I think even a guilty person, even if Trump was guilty, and I'm not making that claim that he is guilty, because I don't know. But even if he was guilty, I think it is almost certain that he still would have kicked Epstein out for that. And he might have, and they still stayed in touch after that. Not like they never talked again. They stayed in touch a little bit after that. But all this other evidence that happened beforehand, it's weird behavior. Again, I don't know if Trump's guilty or not, but I don't think saying that he kicked Epstein out of his club. At the same time, there was a real estate deal that they were arguing over. So they were already at odds for a real estate deal. And then on top of that, you have this claim. I don't think that clears Trump. I don't think that carries the weight that you think it does.
Just moved on from it.
Yeah, for someone that claims to be innocent, he doth protest too much, methinks.
We're only now talking about Epstein again because Trump's bumbling AG, after claiming in February that the Epstein client list was sitting on her desk, is now saying that list apparently doesn't even exist. And yet Trump, earlier this month, rushed to her defense and insisted we go back to not talking about his old pal, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, sure.
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you...
No, on that one, on the plane. Who asked that? Didn't Trump borrow Epstein's jet to campaign? No. Trump was using Epstein's former jet. He was renting it, but not from Epstein. I don't know if it's still owned by the estate. But yeah, it's not like he was borrowing it from Epstein. Epstein is dead, and Trump was using it from this last election cycle. So I think that would probably, I don't think that's relative to whether or not Trump is on this list. I think that's, I don't think that has anything to do with any of it. I think that's kind of a cheap talking point that has been thrown out by some people who don't like Trump.
Still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein.
The president should actually count himself lucky that the media and MAGA are only asking Bondi questions about Epstein, because the real person who should be answering questions about Epstein and his own decades-long friendship and association with a man described by a judge as the most infamous pedophile in American history, and who
G-Rod, that number's incorrect, by the way. It's not each year. That's the total number of people that are currently reported missing from like 40 years of data. So make sure you know that's not 460,000 new children missing every year. But that is still very troubling.
who died mysteriously in federal prison during his presidency is Donald Trump.
There we go. So there's our deep dive on the Epstein file. I'm just saying, again, I think anybody who says Donald Trump is definitely an abuser of children with Epstein, I think that you are making a leap that you don't have evidence for. I think if you are saying that Donald Trump is innocent, you are taking a leap that is you don't have evidence for. If you're saying that he is not guilty of a crime, that there's no evidence that he's guilty of a crime, that I'm okay with. But if you think that there is not a reason for us to find out why Donald Trump keeps lying about things, or why he said things in the past that turned out not to be true, then I think that that's silly. I think that's a really weird way to live your life. I think that that's a very incurious way to live your life. You care more about like your current reality being maintained than you care about just like what's actually happening. For the life of me, I cannot figure out why anybody would say we don't want to see this information or we shouldn't see this information. I think at this point, the trust is lost. It feels like there's a cover up. Why should the government, who by the way, they're supposed to respond to us. They serve us. We pay them. It's their job to do what we ask them to do. Why would anybody say like let's not release the files unless you just don't want your reality to be broken? You can't stomach that. Your brain can't process that. You would have to then figure out if you're still going to support a sex pest. Now you've been able to overlook all the other stuff because it hasn't been definitive. Like you've overlooked the E. Jean Carroll stuff. You've been able to somehow like compartmentalize that and be like, no, he had to pay her because he was liable for sexual abuse, but there was no sexual abuse. I don't know how the fuck you guys have figured that one out in your head. Or the claims from his wife that he sexually abused his wife, or I think over 40 women have accused him of sexual. Somehow you've been able to compartmentalize that and ignore all of that. And I think that this time you know that if the evidence is released and he's on there, it's going to be really difficult for you to just shove that down and keep supporting this dipshit. And I think that most of you who don't support releasing this, that is just fear-based. It's crazy. I'm full of it. Yeah, sure, JP. JB, you've been in here like spamming the dumbest shit all day. Calm down. Just watch the show and enjoy it. Joe Rogan, once again, I don't like Joe Rogan very much. I don't think he offers a whole lot to the commentary, but he speaks for millions of people. He speaks for the opinion of millions of people. He speaks to millions of people every day. So what he says, unfortunately, is relevant. And here's what he has to say.
Videotape, and all of a sudden they don't. You know, you got the director of the FBI on this show saying there's no if there was, nothing you're looking for is on those tapes. Like, what? Why did they say there was thousands of hours of tapes of people doing horrible shit? Why did they say that?
Right.
Didn't Pam Bondi say that?
What, are you talking about Epstein or did he?
Yeah, Epstein.
Yeah, she said it literally, I think, a week before you had the FBI director sitting here telling you there was nothing, right?
She said something about that there was like thousands of hours of tapes of people doing horrible crimes.
There is. And didn't the FBI dude say that there was nothing?
Cash Patel said there's nothing you're looking for. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to push back.
Right. No, of course.
Yeah. This is the craziest part of this interview. This is what I want to get to. What am I supposed to do? Push back? Fucking yeah, dude. Yeah, that's your job. It is weird. It is weird. Like, if that was somebody from, like, I saw a ton of pushback with Bernie. When he interviewed Bernie, he pushed back on a bunch of stuff. It's ironic that Joe Rogan, like, tries to claim, like, oh, I'm just trying to get the answers. No pushback. Not once did he push back on anything Trump was doing. He had a 4.5 hour Trump podcast that was unbelievably stupid. Like Trump didn't come close to answering any questions. He would just ramble incoherently. No pushback. No pushback on cash. Why is Joe Rogan so afraid to push back against conservatives? He knows what you all know that none of you want to admit, that this operates like a cult and Donald Trump is the leader. And so people are very afraid to push back against Trump because they know what happens to them if they do. My friends that are still Republican or Republican adjacent, you should see what happens to them when they push back just a little bit. When they say just that Donald Trump is being a little bit unhinged, you should see the pushback they get from their MAGA friends. You fucking traitor. How dare you say that? You're not who I thought you were. You've totally changed. You think Donald Trump said something unhinged? Do you remember Joe Biden? Do you remember Obama? That's why you guys aren't allowed to do this. You're not allowed to speak critically about your leader. We're allowed to. We can say whatever the fuck we want about Joe Biden. No, I have not lost a single voter or a single viewer that I know of talking shit about Joe Biden. Not one. Even the ones that kind of like him. Because it doesn't operate that way. But your ideology is Trump, whether you like it or not. That's why you guys can change your ideology so easily. Is because it's Trump, then ideas, like somewhere down the line, like Christianity somewhere down the line. I don't know, like fourth or fifth. But it's always Trump first.
Obviously, he's saying what he has to say.
Right.
Mystery surrounds the Jeffrey Epstein files after Bondi claims tens of thousands of videos. Tens of thousands. Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you what.
Chill. Oh, my God.
Thanks for the
was
sub.
reviewing tens of thousands of videos, the wealthy financier with children or child porn. The comment made to reporters at the White House days after a similar remark to a stranger with a hidden camera raised the stakes for President Donald Trump's administration to prove it has in its possession.
Hey, Drew, don't you hate on DMT and mushrooms, you big bully. You could use it. Drew, if you're smart enough that if you did some mushrooms, you might stop being a fucking conservative. You might drop this charade. You're smart enough that I think you might want to go on a little journey.
Previously unseen compelling documents, or just bomb Iran, and everybody forgets.
Just bomb Iran, yeah.
Everybody forgets about it.
Oh, the amount of things that he has tried to do to get people to forget about it. We bombed Iran. We announced an investigation into James Comey. And who was the other? Is it Clapper? Is that the other person? Donald Trump is doing everything he can to get you guys to stop talking about this, and it won't work. I read you the tweet earlier. He's telling you, stop it. You're not really my friend if you're still talking about that. Here's, to his credit, here's Mike Johnson yesterday saying what I'm saying. Yeah, we should probably get the answers.
Speaker Johnson, this is sort of on the heels of something else that a lot of people are asking questions about. And because we've been lied to by our federal government for so long, I feel like there's some type of there's a pain point, right? And a pressure cooker that gets heated up on issues like the Epstein issue, right? And obviously that's something that's taken over a lot of the online dialogue. I have a question here about it that concerns either testifying or testimony for Ghislaine Maxwell, potentially before Congress, or if you would support members like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Anna Paulina Luna on the release of subpoenaing the Epstein documents from the DOJ, whether you would support either of those.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Marjorie or Anna about that specific subject, but I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. Look, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump does as well, and I trust him. I mean, he put together a team of his choosing, and they're doing a great job. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. I mean, this isn't my lane.
It'll just say, they'll release some doctor bullshit. It'll just say Biden did it. Biden did it. Just a binder. It's Joe Biden. And that'll work for a third of MAGA. They'll be like, oh, did you see it? They released the Epstein files. What did it say? It was just a paper that said Joe Biden did it. Can you believe it? I knew it. I fucking knew it. This confirms it. They released a paper that said Joe Biden did it. Before we get to the rest of Mike Johnson's answer, just a reminder, we're crowdfunded. We're pretty far off on the gift goal. Anybody who can help out, knock out that gift goal. That's how we keep it going, folks. Unfortunately, we don't have advertisers, and we don't have a big enough subscriber base yet that we do have to ask for help to keep this show going. If you can help with that gift goal, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'll read anything you say.
I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. And you know, Pam Bondi, I don't know, when she originally made the statement, I think she was talking about documents, as I understood it, they were on her desk. I don't know that she was specific about a list or whatever, but she needs to come forward and explain that to everybody. I like Pam. I mean, I think she's done a good job. We need the DOJ focusing on the major priorities. So let's get this thing resolved so that they can deal with violent crime and public safety and election integrity and going after Act Blue and the things that the president is most concerned about, as we are.
That's fucking crazy that he also said go after Act Blue. Go after Act Blue is a priority here. We have to go after anybody who funds Democrats. That's crazy. Like, we're not going to go after just funding in general. We're just going to go after Act Blue. Frank, can we mute Frank for like a week? Frank, that's your 85th time saying hater site. This isn't a site, you dumb bitch. You understand you're on YouTube, right? This is not my website. Hater stream would make sense. Hater channel would make sense. You need some time. Misinformation site. Again, Frank, you got to go. You got to take a break. Okay? And you got to learn what words mean. Somebody get rid of Hank for a little while. It's like the 80th time he said that. You mute him daily? All right, cool. How long? What are our mute options, Jen? Is it just like a day? Is that, do you have to ban if it's more than a day? Oh, Jen's still here. Thank you, Mary, for joining the dollar trade. How long can you? Up to 24 hours? Oh, okay. All right, 24 hours it is. Sorry, Frank. We'll see you tomorrow with the same fucking comment. I wonder if Frank just goes like stream to stream of lefties and just post, because it'll be like you won't hear shit from Frank for like an hour, and then he just comes in and says the same thing again, and then won't say shit for an hour. Comes in and says the same thing again. Some might say Frank seems a little bit like a bot.
So I'm anxious to get this behind us.
We are too, Mike. We're all anxious to get this shit behind us, and it's going to take some transparency before we get there. I want to talk a little bit about our friend Charlie Kirk, who is a racist bitch. Hey, howdy, says choo choo. Charlie Kirk tweeted this. This is Omar Fateh. He is running for mayor of Minneapolis. This is his video announcing that he's running for mayor of Minneapolis. Now, before I play this video, I need you guys, you Republicans in here, to understand something. We do not tolerate slurs. Okay? So when I play this video, those slurs that are running through your head, don't write them in the chat, because then I have to ban you. You got to go. So no slurs here. I know that this is not a white person. And I know you got about a bunch of racist shit in there that wants to come out into your fingers, and you want to type it. Don't do it, or you got to go. Okay? So I'm just preferencing this, knowing that I'm playing a video of a black person. Just need you to know you can't say slurs here. Okay? Agreed? Agreed? Terrific.
Everyone keeps asking me, Omar, why aren't you doing more videos? As a state senator with a second full-time
This is only coming out of one earphone, so if you can't hear it, switch to your other headphone.
job and a kid on the way, I just haven't been able to find the time. I've also been fighting for you, passing things like tuition-free college for working-class families, rideshare protections for our Uber and Lyft drivers, and the legalization of fentanyl testing strips. But this summer, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me, because we deserve nice things in Minneapolis too. To make an affordable Minneapolis that works for everyone, we need
I don't know why the music. I have no idea.
a mayor that works as hard as you do. I'm ready to work hard too. 1, build a Minneapolis that working people can afford to call home. 2, protect our city from a hostile White House. And 3, diversify our city's public safety response. By increasing the minimum wage to $20 by 2028 and passing rent stabilization to stop price gouging and incentivizing new construction, we can protect workers. Protecting all of our communities from Donald Trump means not letting MPD interact with ICE, whether it's for an immigration raid or not. Our residents deserve a mayor that will stand up to Donald Trump and say, no, not in our community. Did you know that the city's own data showed that 47% of calls to MPD can be diverted to non-police response? Cops aren't social workers. Investments in programs like these ensure that the appropriate response arrives when we call 911. And we can actually free up police resources to focus on violent crime that detracts from community safety. Oh, I'm sorry. It's my campaign managers again. They've been on my case all week about make more videos. I'll find the time tomorrow.
All right. First of all, not a great ad. Just gonna be honest. Not a great ad. The music was too loud. But obviously, Charlie Kirk can't see that and not just be a racist fuck. Charlie Kirk said, you need to watch this, then commit to stopping all third world immigration to America. Guy's born in America, by the way. It's not even an immigrant. He's an immigrant in the same way that Charlie Kirk's an immigrant, and I'm an immigrant. Just Charlie Kirk just sees a black person speaking, and it just does the racism. It's like I gotta be racist. Yeah, if you listen to it and you don't agree with his ideas, then you say, I don't agree with his ideas. That's what you say. That's not tough, Titan. See how easy that is, Titan? I heard it. I don't like his ideas. Then I might tweet something like, these ideas suck, or that campaign video was dog shit, which I agree. That was a dog shit campaign video. Nobody checked the volume. It was hard to listen to. That was a really shitty campaign video. I don't know where he's polling. But Charlie saw all of those different opportunities. He could criticize the ideas. He could offer a counterpoint. He could criticize the music. He could have criticized a lot of things. But instead what he did is, I see black person, therefore no more black people in this country. That was it. He's just like, what's crazy with Charlie is that for years, he's been going up, like pretending not to be racist. And now he's just openly racist. Why'd you pretend for so long, Charlie? And this is, I think, why, like, it's a difficult position to be, like, over here. Because I recognize that not everybody who listens to Charlie Kirk knows that he's this openly racist, or that they even understand sometimes when he's being racist. And I don't think that everybody who listens to Charlie Kirk hates black people. But I think Charlie Kirk does. And what Charlie Kirk did forever is pretend he wasn't racist. And then when people called him racist, he's like, oh, prove that I'm racist. He did the Andrew Wilson thing. Like, Andrew Wilson's racist. He just is racist. Like, those are his views. But they'll pretend that they're not. I dare you to convince people that I'm racist. Yeah, like, it's not that hard. You just read what you're saying. Why are you so afraid of being called a racist if you are indeed a racist? Stand 10 toes down on that. So I guess we can give Charlie some credit now. Like, now he's just like openly being racist. But it leads me to question, why for so long, Charlie, did you pretend you weren't racist? It's because you wanted to influence people. You wanted to move people towards your racism. You wanted to justify your racism. Very similar to, again, growing up in a cult. When we used to go knock doors, when you have Mormon missionaries come to your house, if you ever have it and you want to hear what they have to say, let them in and let them tell you about the Mormon church. Give them a couple visits. What they're going to tell you is they're going to give you their reasoning for why the Mormon church is biblically sound. They're going to explain why Joseph Smith was such a good guy, why he was a prophet. They're going to tell you how he was persecuted. They're going to tell you all sorts of stories. But you know what they're never going to tell you? They're never going to tell you that he took child brides. They're never going to tell you that he was a polygamist. They're never going to tell you about the Mountain Meadows Massacre. When Mormons took people coming from Missouri, headed to California, just going through the state, and just murdered all of them except for the children who weren't old enough to remember, and then they took those children and raised those children as their own. They will never tell you the true history. They will show you what they want to show you so that you'll join their cult. That's what Charlie Kirk does. Charlie Kirk just pretends that for a long time, just pretended he wasn't racist so that he was palatable. But now that racism is cool again, Charlie Kirk's like, here it is. This is me the whole time. And he'll still come out there and say he's not racist. There's no other way to read what he said there than racism. That's crazy. If that was, he wouldn't have made that tweet. If that was a tweet from James Tallarico, if that was a campaign video from James Tallarico, he would have tweeted something like, this is what happens when you let communists into government. It wouldn't have been like, no more third world immigrants. There's no other way to read that other than like Charlie Kirk's a racist. And if you're supporting him, just say you're racist. I'm much more comfortable with people just being like, yeah, I'm racist. Stop pretending that you're not. Just be racist. And when we ban you for using slurs, understand that's a rule here. You can be here and be racist, and we're gonna dislike that you're racist. But if you are just say like, you know what, I just am racist, and you don't use slurs, you actually get to stay. Just start being honest. Let's discuss the ideas. Sully said, what's the difference between a chickpea and a black bean? I've never paid to have a black bean on on my face. Johnny says, Jen is driving to the NorCal-SoCal border to check. She sent me a map, the breakdown of California. So now I know where like Central and Northern California is. It looks to me that what they did in California is the people claiming NorCal took the best parts, and then what was left over was SoCal, which gave you like LA and San Diego, and all the shit in the middle that nobody wants, San Bernardino, Palm Springs. Like, I think that all just became like Central. That's what it looks like to me. Devin, thank you for the super chat. Said, off topic, but if you haven't seen Superman yet, you should. It's one of the most anti-war, anti-fascist, anti-genocide major Hollywood movies I've seen in quite a while. I haven't seen it yet. My daughter doesn't want to go see it, so I lose. Tanya says, choo choo, happy hump day. Thank you. Meliodas says, come on, Frank, keep it chill. Hey, Howdy says, choo choo. Mary said, let's go Dollar Train. Betsy said, to lessen your beating from Jen. And Rolando says, for making my MAGA friend storm out, crashing out. Oh, was your MAGA friend listening, Rolando? That's what happens. There's that Shane Gillis joke where he says his dad just like watches Fox News every night until he can't take it anymore and just rage quits and goes to bed. I imagine that's what it's like as a MAGA watching me. Just watch until you can't hear it anymore, and then you rage quit. I'd imagine it's similar to that. All right, and more about Charlie Kirk. After Charlie Kirk was racist, then Charlie Kirk's like, not only am I a racist, but I'm also a cuck. And here's Charlie Kirk reminding us that before anything, Charlie Kirk is a cuck to people more powerful than him.
Plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine. Honestly, I'm done talking.
All right, so there's Charlie. Charlie's like, as a side note, I spent 8 years talking about this shit, but now I just trust the government. I just trust my government. It's fine. It's fine. And you guys should trust the government too. For years, we've been telling you not to trust the government, but now they're my friends, so you should trust them. Same thing Kash Patel did with Joe Rogan. I know them, so now I trust them, and I'm not going to push back anymore. I want to get into, let's see, back to Gavin Newsom. We played that clip earlier of his interview with Sean Ryan. If you missed that, you can watch the replays here. But he got in a Twitter beef with Nancy Mace, who's been trying to schedule a debate with Gavin Newsom. Fucking bad idea, Nance. There are some people I'd like to see debate Gavin Newsom on the right. You're an idiot, Nancy Mace. You're not good at this. Nancy Mace will just literally be like, men in women's bathrooms. And that's the whole thing. That'll be her whole thing. I'm a survivor. Men in women's bathrooms. Okay, Nance, we get it. So she tweeted at him, don't California my South Carolina, and Newsom just kills her. So you don't want lower homicide rates, lower gun death rates, lower taxes for working families, lower maternal mortality rates, higher GDP, higher wages, higher life expectancy, free pre-kindergarten, free community college, free school meals, and total domination in every major industry. Time for a bathroom break, Nance. I've lived in South Carolina. They shouldn't be pointing at other states and be like, hey, look at us. I like South Carolina. I would like to live there again someday. But to say it's super well run is a little bit silly. Back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, as we're running a little bit out of time. This is what Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced today. Now, I have a theory on this, and I think that this is true. I think that Christian conservatives naturally are opposed to climate change and climate science because they believe that God is in charge of everything. And so it's almost, and they've always believed that, look what happens when a tornado comes through. It was an act of God, right? In fact, even in insurance for years, like an act of God was like, was a determining factor on like how you got paid out. We used to not say natural disaster. We would say act of God. I think that, very religious Christians view climate science and explaining the climate as an attack on God. And so I've wondered this because I can sympathize with people who say that some people, climate activists, are a bit alarmist. I think that could be true. I think that there's a real scenario where we're destroying the climate, but through science and through innovation, we may be able to undo this. We did it with the ozone. We didn't think, like, we just thought we were fucked with the ozone, but then we figured out a way to restore the ozone. And now we're seeing things like what's called a seed is it what's it called seed she's gonna explain it, cloud seeding. We figured out ways to create water. In California, they're going in and they're restoring the aqueducts, and they're able to pump water into those aqueducts. They're able to create more sources of water. There's a lot of things you can do. Desalination, which could take the salt out of ocean water, salt water. We could use that. There are a lot of ways. Like there are probably ways that science is going to step in and reverse some of climate change. So when you hear somebody like Margie, like we shouldn't take climate science serious, but also we shouldn't do anything about the changes of our weather patterns, only leads me to one conclusion, that she just believes God's in charge, and this is an attack on God, which is why she's introducing this bill.
I have a big announcement to make. My Clear Skies Act has been filed. This is my legislation to ban weather modification and geoengineering of all kinds. Finally, we can really take the fight in Washington to protect our skies, protect our water, protect our atmospheres, and most of all, protect our families. Thanks for your support, everyone. Look for my legislation, the Clear Skies Act.
Aquifers. Thank you, Courtney. Did I say aqueducts? Yeah, aquifers. This is silly. They will do anything but acknowledge the human impact on the climate. What she's doing here, the reason that this has a backing is because in red states there's flooding. And that's hard to explain to red staters. It's hard to explain to the people in Texas. Climate change is not real, but somehow it's happening. And since it's not real, and God's in control of the weather, the only way that you could explain massive flooding is by engineering mass weather events. This is the book. I think I've told this story before, but I had this professor who was a judge in Utah, and he was my first political science professor, and then I wound up being his TA. But our assignment, our end of the year assignment, was to read the book State of Fear. It's a Michael Crichton book. And the story is, I don't know how true this is, but Michael Crichton, who I think also wrote like Jurassic Park, I believe. The story is that he set out to make a pro global warming book. This is when we still called it global warming. And by the time he was done with the book, it was an anti-global warming book. And the whole plot of the State of Fear is basically that the government is lying to you, and they're manipulating the weather with weather machines up at the North and the South Pole, and that they're actually creating all this climate hysteria, and it's not real, and it's all meant to keep you in a state of fear so that you will capitulate. Okay, that's basically the plot of the Michael Crichton book, which is a wild thing to say. It's a wild thing for somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene to be like, this is just them manipulating you with fear. Yeah, well, people lost their children. There was flooding, and children died. Gavin Newsom said that in his interview earlier, but like they found children like holding hands, clinging to trees who were dead because of a climate that is changing and a lack of advanced warning. Children are dead. So naturally, the response to that from Marjorie Taylor Greene is to write the world's dumbest fucking bill that says we have to ban cloud seeding. You know how important cloud seeding is going to be in the future, especially for places like in Southern California, in Arizona, to be able to pull moisture out of the clouds when we don't have moisture. As we have, like Arizona last year had more days, a record of days over 100 degrees. It was like 120 days or something, over 100 degrees in a row. That dries up the ground. That dries up crops. That dries up reservoirs. That dries up rivers. That dries up everything. That kills vegetation. It's a real fucking problem. It makes our roots, like we have a lot of problems recently because we've had so many hot summers that the structure, like the root structures of our trees, because the ground is so there's no moisture down below, that a lot of these trees, like you can see it at the golf course where I play, like the root systems kind of go down and then they come up and they spread out this way. And they're trying to find water because most of the water is just on the surface. And so then you lose trees when you have windstorms, when we have our haboobs come in. It's a nightmare. But if we were able to desalinate, and if we were able to pull water out of clouds, and we were able to create a climate where we had more moisture, that's a good thing. But I can only assume that this is like a Christian belief that somehow like creating, like making the clouds drop rain is a bad thing. And they do it on the heels of a climate disaster so that their dumbass, her dumbass constituents in Georgia will be like, yeah, that's the thing about them floods. We shouldn't have had them floods if they didn't have that boy out there making the rain come from the clouds. That's the idiocracy of the GOP at this point. They're introducing bills to justify why they won't do renewable energy, why they won't do clean energy, why they won't do anything about climate change. There's like, actually, climate change isn't real. It's all fake. You guys are just creating it for a mass hysteria. For what? Let's just say that it was mass hysteria, right? Let's just say that they're trying to scare you into getting solar and wind energy. Oh, no. Cleaner energy? No. You tell me if I put solar panels on my house, I don't have to pay the electric company anymore? No, I want to pay I love paying a utility bill every year. Even if this was like a mass hysteria, even if this was like some global agenda to get people to move to renewable energy, it's better. That's great. The air is fresher. The temperatures aren't rising. I guess you guys don't believe that part. My utility bill is gone. I just plug in my car every night. I don't have to stop at the gas station anymore. Oh no, the humanity. I don't understand what you guys are doing. Leftist Connection said, "Are we gonna arrest God for geo manipulation?" No, because God is the Constitution, and therefore God cannot be arrested because he's the Constitution. Asta Sophia says, "For the greatest team." Jay and Jen and Fabulous Mods chipping in for the dollar train. Thank you, Asta Sophia. And Alex says, I'm moving to Oklahoma, and in the lease for the new apartment, one of the where did that go? One of the force majeure clauses literally lists an act of God as the first unforeseen event that they're not liable for. Okay, Oklahoma hasn't abandoned that. That's fucking unbelievable. Jen, do you have an updated total? I think so. Let me do this. I'll add mine in there too. All right. Any other? Is there another? Am I missing something with March here? Is there some other explanation for why we would introduce this legislation? Can anybody think of anything? Like, why else would we introduce this? Do we not have any? I didn't see. Are there any conspiracy theorists in here anymore? Please don't debate anymore. Okay, Aaron, you got it. I made the planet better for no good reason. God damn it. All right. I want to show you this. This is Chris Murphy here, talking about this is from Project 2025, and this is part of the Republicans' attempts to fundamentally change our Constitution and create a power structure that is really hard to undo, that keeps the power in the hands of the right. Here's an example of Republicans lying and then acting in bad faith and then justifying it because we're the righteous ones, we need power.
This week, Republicans are codifying the DOGE cuts into law, and they're using an arcane budget gimmick to do it. This is important, so I want to walk you through what's happening this week. As you know, every year, Congress has to pass a budget, and it has to be bipartisan because in the Senate, you need 60 votes to pass a budget. Congress did that back in the spring. I voted against that budget. I didn't like it, but it passed with Republican and Democratic votes. What Republicans are doing now is using a provision in the budget law that hasn't been used since the 1970s. It's called a rescissions law, and it allows Republicans with just 50
Thank you, Jessica.
votes, not 60 votes in the Senate, to cut out of the budget anything they want. And so what they're doing is they are cutting out of the budget all the things that DOGE targeted. With this rescissions bill, they are going after all the foreign aid funding that DOGE hates, and they're going after PBS and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They're literally going to take Sesame Street off the air. Why would Democrats ever again negotiate a bipartisan budget with Republicans if Republicans 2 months later can just pass a partisan bill that keeps the spending that Republicans like and cuts the spending that Democrats supported in the bipartisan process.
So this is why Project 2025 was scary, because when you read through it, you're like, oh shit, they can pull it off. And what they did is they took a bunch of, I guess we can call them scholars, but readers, and they went through just like procedure after procedure after procedure, and they looked for ways that they could use precedent or rules or loopholes to get their agenda across. So now here's what we have, and whether you like Republicans or not, let's just talk about a functioning democracy or a representative republic. We don't live in a democracy, but we do live in a democracy. It's just a type of democracy called a representative republic or a constitutional republic, but it's still a democracy. However, if we are going to live in this country where there's a 60 vote threshold in order to pass things, and Democrats say, all right, deal. Some of them, not Chris Murphy, some of them are like, fine, fuck it. We'll agree with your bill. Give us some concessions. We'll give you some concessions. This is our budget bill. And Republicans are like, great, thank you for that. Now that we have it passed, fuck you, we're changing it. This is a Republican strategy that they do all over the country. If you are a resident of Florida, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You passed marijuana legislation in Florida. You got something like 57% of the people in Florida said, we want recreational marijuana. And then they said, yeah, fuck you. You have to have 60%. Sorry. We made a new rule. You got to have 60%. Oh, and by the way, even if you pass it at 60%, and it makes its way to the state legislature, guess what? We can change whatever the fuck we want. Because we don't really care. You guys aren't smart enough. You voters are too stupid. We actually know. They do this in Utah, too. This actually happened with the marijuana legislation in Utah. It passed as a amendment, not an amendment, a proposition. The voters voted on it. I think it was proposition like 101, I think. Can't remember what prop it was. They voted. They gave the legislation, like, here's the legislation. Here's the bill as it's written. You can vote on it. It passed overwhelmingly. It went to the state legislature, and then they gutted it. And then what they also did is they put in these provisions so they could control who actually operated dispensaries, and they were able to give out like buddy deals to their friend, or to their friends and their donors. This is what Republicans do. They do not want the Republicans could give a flying fuck about democracy. They do not want that. They want Christian nationalism. They do not care about your votes. Ballot initiative. Thank you, Bandit. I appreciate that. Those were the words I was looking for. Ballot initiative. They don't fucking care. They think that their folks are dumb enough that they can just keep like perverting everything and doing whatever the fuck they want, and their folks won't care. And so far, they've been right. But whether you like what they're doing, whether you agree with what they're taking out of the budget or not, take that away. And just explain to me how this is a good thing, that they negotiate a bill and a budget in good faith, and Democrats who have lost the election plug their nose and they vote for it. And they're like, you know what? We lost the election. We're not going to get everything we want. We'll negotiate. We'll get some of what we want. But in order for this to pass and become law, fine, we'll vote for it. And then as soon as they vote for it, they just turn around and they take out whatever they want anyways. You can't function that way. This is just more gridlock. And it is so short-sighted all the time. You don't think that the Democrats are going to now use this rule? The next time Democrats are in power, and I know that some of you are like, they'll never regain power. Well, they will if we still have elections. If elections still exist, Democrats will regain power at some point. Might be in 2028, might be 2032. At some point, they will. The history of our country says so. You don't think that they'll use this? This is so fucking gross what the Republicans are doing. It's so bad faith. And it's so fucking gross that you guys go along with it. Where you just don't give a fuck about the Constitution. You don't care about law. You don't care about precedent. All you seem to care about is power. And if they manipulate and bastardize the system, and if they fuck up the whole system, who cares? Because they did it for things that you like. Which apparently here is like, I guess you all just fucking hate Sesame Street. God damn it, I've been saying for years, we got to fucking get rid of Sesame Street. Are you going to do anything about lowering the price of healthcare? No. Are you going to do anything about lowering the price of housing? No. Are you going to lower the price of food? No. Are you going to make education better? No. Are you going to stop being in wars all over the world? No. No, we got rid of some brown people and gave tax cuts to billionaires. So fuck Sesame Street. You guys aren't even getting what you want. I don't understand this Republican Party. I really don't. It is the most corrupt it's the most corrupt party I've ever seen. And that starts from the top. And you guys are just cucky little bitches that are going along with this. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. More, please. Bad Religion said, personally, I really enjoy this hater site. Thank you. Howard said, you have one of the best streams. Can you explain why so many young black males have streams supporting Trump? I know you're not black. Thoughts? I mean, I wouldn't speak for that. I honestly wouldn't want to speak for anybody on why they have a stream for Trump. I think you might be talking about like Fresh and Fit. I think that at least for Fresh and Fit, I can say my view of them is Fresh and Fit were shock jocks, and then they got canceled basically everywhere. Like they're not allowed to. I don't think they're allowed on YouTube. They wound up having to be on Twitch. They've been demonetized everywhere, and so their only audience left really is like this manosphere, red pillars. And so I think, and red pillars like Trump, because Trump's kind of a dirtbag like them. I don't know. I think Joel Patrick, I've debated Joel Patrick many times. He doesn't have a single original thought in his mind. Every time I hear him speak, it is the same exact talking points he's been saying for 9 years. But I do know he made a bunch of money selling white privilege cards. That feels like a grift to me. If you, we could, what's that Christian guy's name? Jesse, whatever Jesse's name is. I think he's just insane. I don't know. I can't speak for that. I don't know how many young black males have streams that support Trump. But I think anybody at this point, if you're still supporting Trump, at the very least, lying doesn't bother you. You're not super interested in what's true. I would assume it is some sort of ideologically driven support, because you're not supporting Trump because of math or because it's because of the deficit or no new wars. You're not supporting him because of more money in your pocket or lower energy prices. You're not supporting him for any of that, because none of that's happening. So I don't know. I can't figure out why people are supporting Trump. Aaron, I'll don't worry, Aaron, keep saying it. I'll definitely stop debating. Stop telling all of your the people that you like to challenge me. Stop telling people you like to stop challenging me to debates. Andrew Wilson challenged me to a debate, so I debated him. So if you want me to stop debating, go tell all your other conservative friends. It is weird though. It's weird that you're concerned about me debating them. It's almost like they look bad when they debate me, isn't it?
So this isn't just really bad policy. This is just another way that Republicans are corroding the rule of law, the institutional norms that have held together our democracy for decades. This is a really important week. This is a dirty trick that Republicans are playing. It's going to have real practical impacts on our security and on families, but it's just another assault on democratic norms. It's a big deal.
Yeah. There we go. Stop baiting. Stop baiting. I'm a master baiter. Jesse Peterson, that's who we're looking at. Look, you can say whatever the fuck you want about Andrew. You guys liked Andrew. Everybody who was a fan of Andrew coming into that liked Andrew. Show me the person who was like that doesn't like Andrew. There were people there that sided with Andrew that came up on the panel after and were like, yeah, Andrew was bad faith. Whatever you want to say about that, I don't think Andrew looked good in that debate. I don't think I looked good in that debate. I don't think it was a debate. It was absolute fucking nonsense. But here you guys are, still talking about it. So it must have it somehow got under your skin, because now you're over here watching my stream. So I don't know what happened. And I don't know what you weren't here before, and you're here now. So I don't know. Maybe you guys are concerned about that. Did I miss any of these? I don't think I missed any of those. All right, let me get over here. Just a little update on Texas. This is a report from CNN. So cue the CNN shit in the chat about the response from FEMA in Texas.
Texas officials continue to face scrutiny over their response and the warnings ahead of time. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem continues to
Aaron, define debate.
Face big questions as well, taking to the Sunday shows yesterday to defend FEMA's response. CNN's Brian Todd has much more on all of this for us this morning. Brian, what are you learning?
Well, Kate, we have learned that 5 urban search and rescue teams from different parts of the country, which were the first such teams outside of Texas to be deployed by FEMA to respond to the flooding in Texas, well, those teams were not dispatched by FEMA until at least early Monday evening. That is days after the most recently found survivor was discovered. That's according to spokespeople for those teams who CNN contacted. 3 of those teams were not dispatched until Tuesday, more than 4 days after the surge of the Guadalupe River. These are highly trained search and rescue teams called task forces, usually tasked with urgently finding survivors. Colorado Task Force 1 left Colorado for Texas on Monday, July 7th at 6 o'clock p.m. local time after being notified by FEMA to leave that same day. Missouri Task Force 1 left Missouri for Texas that Monday night, the 7th, after being activated by FEMA that same day. That team arrived in Texas on Tuesday night, the 8th.
How do we square this with Kristi Noem saying that it was immediate? Remember, they said like it took 48 to 72 hours, and she's like, no, that was fake news. You're believing fake news. None of this happened. How are these notifications going out over 48 hours later, and it's fake news still? Weird, right? Do you think we're going to get a correction from Kristi Noem here? No, we're just going to gut FEMA.
Nevada Task Force 1 left Nevada for Texas on Tuesday the 8th after getting the go-ahead from FEMA that same day. Now, that Nevada team drove about 20 hours and arrived in Texas on Wednesday evening, the 9th. Their spokesperson said they began their first day of field work this past Friday, July 11th, a week after the flood. Arizona Task Force 1 left Arizona for Texas on Tuesday evening, the 8th, about 4.5 hours after being notified to leave by FEMA. And Indiana Task Force 1, they left Indiana on Tuesday, the 8th. An official there did not say when they were given the go-ahead by FEMA. All of these teams had to drive to Texas. 2 officials from these teams deployed to Texas told CNN it is not...
That's right. We should have defined immediate. Immediate could mean 3 days later. That's a good point.
Out of the ordinary for FEMA to deploy them a few days after a storm. And flash floods like this one, of course, in Texas are notoriously unpredictable, making it very difficult to stage crews in advance of a disaster. But earlier this year, after flooding in parts of Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia, and in 2023 in Vermont, FEMA was able to mobilize search and rescue teams within hours, not days. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who oversees FEMA, defended the response on...
Yeah. She defended the response by saying, all of those facts that are laid out are fake. Everything you say is fake. We have 15 more minutes. I do want to get into a little bit with Palestine. It sounds like, from what I understand this morning, we're not peaceful yet over there in Palestine. But there was a New York Times op-ed published by an Israeli genocide scholar. The name, I think I wrote the name down. Omer Bartov. And here's what they're saying now. My inescapable conclusion. Again, this is an Israeli scholar who has studied genocides. This is somebody who is an Israeli citizen. Says, my inescapable conclusion has become that Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people. Having grown up in a Zionist home, lived the first half of my life in Israel, served in the IDF as a soldier and officer, and spent most of my career researching and writing on war crimes and the Holocaust. This was a painful conclusion to reach, and one that I resisted as long as I could. But I have been teaching classes on genocide for a quarter of a century. I can recognize one when I see one. And yet, in America, we stand by like how are we the people that said we went to World War II and fought the Germans? And we love talking about how like anti-genocide we are, and that's why we were in that war. And yet here we are siding with Israel now as they commit a genocide. This is a story of Dr. Hussan Abu Safia. I'll let his friend tell the story. Trigger warning here. We're going to talk about some mistreatment of doctors in Palestine.
His only crime was refusing to leave his patients.
he refused to leave his patients. When they surrounded the hospital.
And Meliodas says, "We're trying, Jen." Because Jen yelled at you guys in the chat. Sorry.
And took all the medical professionals out. He was the last one out because he refused to leave them. And he's been in prison since. Who? Dr. Hussam Abu Sofia. He's lost 80 pounds. He's been subjected to tortures. He's in a ground cell that sees no sunlight. And he's in prison for what? For refusing to leave his patients. I don't know what shocks me more, my healthcare professional colleagues who know nothing about this, or the fact that there is a man in prison for refusing to leave his patients, an oath that he swore not to break. And nobody knows about this. And I think about this man often, and I bring him up, and this isn't the first video that I've done about him. And
for 7 months, kidnapped for 7 months. This is a doctor treating patients, and he is now kidnapped for 7 months, maybe dead. I don't know. 201 days. I think we have proof of life as of last week for being a doctor and for refusing to abandon patients when they said, "Hey, we're going to bomb the fuck out of this." He just was keeping his oath to take care of patients. And for anybody out there that's like, Hamas also takes prisoners, true. But we don't have a president who's up there defending Hamas. We don't have a Republican Party up there defending Hamas. We have them defending this. We're still sending them money. We're still refusing to step in. I am incredibly tired of you fake fucking Christians showing up every day. Like, we believe in Jesus. We want a peaceful world. And then you just overlook shit like this.
yet here we are, still in prison under no charges. And after his lawyer had visited him and reported all these horrific things, I feel like I have to go once again on here and remind people that there is a man, a physician, someone in healthcare who is in prison for treating the vulnerable, for taking care of the weak, and for taking care of the sick. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's inhumane. It is a breaking of international laws on every single level, and it must absolutely continue to be vocalized, or else this man is going to end up 6 feet under from all the torture, the punishment that he's received.
And this is the part that I think maybe we don't talk about enough. At the end of this, however this ends, there are going to be a lot of prisoners that have been imprisoned by the Israelis. And from what we understand, a lot of these things are going to be war crimes. And I've watched Israelis over and over murder innocent people. At the end of the Holocaust, you had what was called the final solution, which was essentially to eliminate everybody who's going to be able to testify against you. How many thousands of people are there going to be that can testify against the Israelis, against the IDF? Do we really trust that Israel's just going to let those people speak? That they're going to let those people go free and speak? I don't think so. Like I think that this is it's pretty clear how this is going to end at this point. I'm going to be shocked. Honest to God, I'm going to be absolutely shocked if this ends and Israel releases all the hostages. That's gonna blow my mind if that happens. Let me read some comments here. Natalie said, check out Gray Canary on TikTok. Let me look that up. Gray Canary. Gray Canary. That's a bird. That is a gray canary bird. Okay, gray canary. See what it's all about.
Donald Trump's latest tactic in trying to avoid association with the Epstein files is to use his hoax cloak of invisibility to suggest that somehow these files or lists are a hoax perpetrated by Democrats, that it's all made up, and therefore you can't believe what's in them. It sickens me to my core, and it sickens me that anybody would fall for it. So if you are MAGA or know anybody who's MAGA, please share this message, share this story of Virginia Giuffre, because we are not talking about lists and files. It is not some contained piece of data. These are human beings. These are girls. These are children whose lives were destroyed or haunted by evil, corrupt, predatory men. I will not stand idly by while Donald Trump whitewashes it into lists and files. Virginia Giuffre worked at Mar-a-Lago in the late 1990s when she was a teenager. That is a verifiable.
That is intense. It's an intense delivery. I understand the passion. I don't that's a tough delivery. Is he always like that?
I refuse to not be shocked by what Donald Trump says. I will not allow it to become some background inanity where I disconnect from my own humanity simply because he is hammering us with his inhumanity every day. He just said, I come home and I say, First Lady, I just had a wonderful conversation with Vladimir, and I think the war's going to end soon.
I don't know. Maybe a little too intense for me. He's coming with fire. I don't disagree with what he's saying. That delivery is aggressive. I hadn't seen that person before. Weston said, for all balls and strikes called. Thank you. We love calling balls and strikes over here. Did I miss any there? I don't think so. All right. We got 5 more minutes. Geez, that was basically it. How long is this one? We got through. This is the first. I think it's the first time in a long time. Yeah, we're gonna watch this together. We'll go a little bit over. I want to talk about electricity, so we'll go over here by about 10 minutes. This is from More Perfect Union, which if you don't subscribe to More Perfect Union, that's crazy. But it also, if you don't subscribe, don't worry. I'll probably show you every video they make. This is about this More Perfect Union episode. Is talking about something that affects all of us, and I think that we don't talk about enough because it's coming and it's upon us right now, like high energy bills. This is the Wall Street lie that jacked up your electricity bill.
Wall Street investors are infiltrating your home in ways you might not even realize, but are paying a huge price for.
Get ready to pay more for your electricity bills.
Energy bills are increasing along with those temps.
My electric bill,
wanna guess?
$233.
$300.
Is $900.
$950.
Not 90. Everybody stop paying their bills right now.
Americans' utility bills are rising at unprecedented rates because of a systemic failure.
Their primary concern is to make more money, and their only way to...
Sorry, Benny said, just because YouTube is the only good when I have something to say, thanks. Thank you, Benny.
Make more money is to take it away from people like me.
People should be angry.
To uncover how electric utilities are getting away with this, we talked to an industry insider.
People were realizing hey, this is a corrupt business model. It's not bribes, but it is corruption.
And went to Montana to investigate the most powerful utility in the state.
Can we help you with something?
Hi, we're just filming.
Need to take pictures of your license plates. Also, sheriffs are on the way. This is a private facility.
What we heard was a shocking account of how these...
That's such a great question, Leroy Jenkins. Why do we allow utility companies to make a profit? Yeah, we build the infrastructure for them. We build out the grid. We force taxpayer money to go to them, and then we're like, hey, thanks for collecting this bill. You get all the profit. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't understand why that is a private industry. It's silly.
Companies are gaming the system and making homes uninhabitable.
The hay's drying pretty fast.
Thank you, Melissa.
My property boundary is here, and then obviously look north, and there you have the plant. You can feel it vibrating inside of our house.
Casey and her father Steve live in Laurel, Montana. 2 years ago, the state's largest utility began building a $320 million methane gas power plant, less than a mile from Casey's house.
This is the most populated area in the state, and yet they build a power plant right smack dab in the middle of it.
They just kind of shoved it down our throats, this area, this residential area, and claimed it was in an industrial area.
Northwestern provides power.
They take HARP and NOAA and purposely flooding states to promote climate change and take away freedom. It's a whole thing. Chemtrail rabbit hole. It's such a dumb thing.
More than 2/3 of Montanans. The company claimed this new gas plant was critical to an even cleaner energy future.
It's all bullshit. That's what it is.
Just kind of feels like local government just pushes through whatever Northwestern wants.
They're literally, it's like shooting, what's the expression, shooting ducks in a barrel.
Mark Ellis is a financial consultant who used to work at one of the largest utilities in the U.S. He saw the corrupt business model that companies like Northwestern are using firsthand.
A lot of people don't realize that their local utility company is a for-profit company. And like any other for-profit company, their incentive is to maximize profits.
Northwestern Energy is an investor-owned utility. Its biggest shareholders are massive.
Oh, this isn't a break. No, we're not a break. It's just a longer video. We're still going. I don't know if you probably are getting a commercial. Smith does stuff. There's commercials that play if you don't have YouTube Premium. That's a YouTube thing, not a me thing.
Investment firms like BlackRock and Vanguard. Almost 2/3 of U.S. electric utilities are investor-owned. Their main goal is not to provide affordable power for the community, but to generate profit.
The utilities' profits are basically a fixed percentage on the amount of capital they invest in infrastructure, power plants, pipelines, distribution systems.
The more expensive a project, the more money investors get out of that fixed profit percentage.
So if their profit is based on how much they invest, and like every other investor-owned company, they want to maximize profits, how do they do that? By maximizing the amount of capital they invest.
I'm so sorry that doctors are being put in prison. It's crazy.
Yellowstone County Generating Station is a 175 megawatt gas plant, and it is the most expensive type of gas plant you can build today. But the utility wanted to build that because, in my mind, it's expensive, and that earns it a higher amount of money for its shareholders over time.
But unlike the profits of other companies, utilities' profits are set by government regulators.
So in principle, the regulator's job is to balance the consumer and the investor interest, right? Based on my work and the observations of many others, regulators are not doing their job when it comes to balancing those interests with respect to setting the appropriate level of utility profits.
Northwestern is currently asking Montana's regulators, the Public Service Commission or PSC, to approve a 9.6% profit on its investments, which now include the costly Yellowstone gas plant.
Northwestern is back in the rate case right now, arguing that all of the costs for this plant were justified.
We understand that increases in utility bills are difficult, especially when families are already managing rising costs in other areas. This is why we've worked hard to keep the impact as low as possible while still making critical investments needed to keep the lights on and the heat flowing.
This is so disingenuous when they say that. Every time they do one of these community forums, they're like, we understand that you guys care about the prices, but we had to increase the prices to make investments. You just said you have a 10% margin that you need to make for profit there. 10%. So just be honest. This is what sucks about being in America, where we have decided that the word socialism is evil. What if all of you just paid 10% less? What if all of these utility companies existed? And that's their profit, right? So there's some other things there that they could probably cut. But let's just say, like in a 1-to-1 scenario, all of you paid 10% less. But we can't incentivize you to take something like that because socialism bad? Oh no, nobody's making a profit off of my energy. We can't do it anymore. What if we just cut it by 10%? Lots of countries do this, by the way. Lots of countries do this. And lots of countries nationalize their resources. Lots of countries nationalize their energy. Just not us, because we're afraid of the word socialism. Our fossil fuel subsidy is part of socialism. That's government spending. But yeah, that's just giving them more money. Hey, thank you for allowing us to pay you profit on oil. Here's a tax break. Thank you for your record profits. And since we helped you get record profits, we would like to reward you with paying less taxes. That's a sensible way to do this.
Northwestern wants to acquire the most expensive
That's the point, Berserker. I fucking love it. Can you name me one socialist country that works that doesn't have free market capital? No. Can you name me one capitalist country that doesn't have socialism? No, you can't. It's almost like the most effective way to run a country is by mixing the ideologies together, doesn't it? So being afraid of capitalism or being afraid of socialism is fucking silly, isn't it? We could just use social spending when it makes sense. We should probably stop scaring people from things that benefit them by saying scary socialism, right, Berserker? Right? Or Berserker? Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should learn from all these other countries like China, who has socialism and capitalism all mixed together, and we look at their energy, and they're doing a much better job, and they have a lot of renewable energy, and they're on the cutting edge of electric vehicles, and they're on the cutting edge of basically all electronics. Maybe we could learn from them. Maybe we could look at, like, how did they get so far ahead of us? Oh, they invest in those industries, and then they get those industries have to pay them back so they can then reinvest that in other industries. Maybe we could learn from that, right? That's kind of the point. But it's probably because over in China, they're not like socialism bad, capitalism bad. There's like, what's the best thing to do? Not in America, because we're a bunch of indoctrinated fucking dumb rednecks. And we're like, socialism don't mean freedom. I'm a man. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I live in Alabama. Fuck socialism. I'd rather die than be a socialist. And then you just don't have good things. And then you just wind up actually dying. Yeah, the problem we have is an indoctrination problem here. It was weird that you even brought that up. Like, if you can see that all those countries that you call socialist also have capitalism, then certainly you can reverse engineer that and say, all the countries that I call capitalists, like America, also have socialism. And sometimes capitalism doesn't work. And sometimes socialism doesn't work. And that's why we have to have mixed economies where we can adjust to market conditions and not be ideologically stuck in one position. See how it's a little silly to be like a socialist or a capitalist, because it makes it so that the problem that's right in front of you, oftentimes we can't fix because socialism bad. That's exactly what we're watching here. We're watching people losing all of their money because socialism bad.
Resources that it can get away with in order to earn a greater return for its shareholders. And it wants to convince the Utility Commission to charge customers for those at a really sweet return on equity.
Regulators are supposed to grant profits that are fair and reasonable in order to avoid driving up costs for consumers that utilities serve. But the financial evidence is that these profits, or what's called the cost of capital, should be much lower.
There are models that have been used for decades, not just in utilities, but all over finance to estimate the cost of capital for any business. So you can run those models, and if you run them correctly, you come in around 5.5% to 6%.
But utilities are repeatedly granted profits of around 9 to 10%.
Berserker, I don't know what to tell you, man. You got to go read. You just got to go read some shit. You're just really fucking wrong about China right now. They're not communists. Communists don't have government. China has a communist party, just like we have a Democrat party and a Republican party. But the Republicans are in charge. Does that make us a republic when the Republicans are in charge and a democracy when the Democrats are in charge? No, that's just the name of the party. They have capitalism. They have socialism. They don't have communism, actually. That's the one thing that they don't have. But this is the problem with a lot of you patriots, Berserker Patriot Store. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're afraid of the word communism, so you have assumed that everything China does is bad. You're exactly what I'm talking about. You're the dumbed down version of our electorate that we're concerned about. You will look at a solution that makes a lot of sense and you'll oppose it because socialism bad. You're the problem in this scenario. You're the one that needs to talk less and listen more. You could have a better life if you weren't so afraid of the word socialism.
Customers pay both for the investments and they pay for the excess profits. The excess profits alone are about $50 billion a year nationwide. So it works out to about $300 a household. So it's real money.
Your families and your communities. Thank you very much for being here. We are here today because we are fed up. We are here because Northwest Energy is out of control. How many of you have felt the squeeze of your wallets lately? How many of you are tired of seeing your hard-earned money disappear?
Berserker, you don't know what's true. Chinese people have property rights. They own their houses. They own property. They can own businesses. You're just fucking wrong about all of this. I'm not even trying to be an asshole. Just go fucking read something. Google right now, Berserker. Do Chinese citizens have property rights? Just Google it. Can Chinese citizens own a business? Just Google this shit. I'm trying to help you. You're saying shit that a simple Google search would correct, and it seems like you're afraid to search this.
Into the wallets of a greedy monopoly.
In addition to approving Northwestern's profit, the PSC approves the rates the utility can charge its customers. 2 years ago, the PSC approved a 28% rate hike. And now Northwestern is back, asking for another 20% increase.
I see people trying to work longer hours, sometimes 6 days a week, 8 to 12-hour days, or juggling different, several jobs. I see people...
Can we just say, like, these rate hikes, would these rate hikes happen if we had renewable energy? Rate hikes are going to be labor costs, the cost of labor going up. It's also going to be infrastructure. And it's going to be the cost of whatever energy source you're using, whether it's natural gas or coal or oil. Now, when those prices go up, the price of your energy goes up, right? I would just like to know when was the last time the price of sunlight went up? Does anybody know? I can't remember what year. Can somebody please tell me? I didn't look it up. Somebody tell me the last year that the price of sunlight went up. It's escaping me right now. These things that they're talking about this is the reason that other countries are getting away from fossil fuels. And that's why they're getting to renewable energy, because when the price of something spikes, for example, let's say war kicks off in the Middle East, all of our energy prices go up. But if you have solar and war kicks off in the Middle East, your energy price doesn't go up, does it? No, because it's renewable. It comes from the sun. That's the whole point. I want my energy outside of external market influences. I don't want my energy price to go up because an oil baron wants more money, or because an oil tanker was bombed, or because oil rigs in the Gulf broke down. I don't want my energy price to be so dependent on factors that we can't control. I like the idea that sun come out, energy come in, no price go up. It's that simple. It's just a sensible way. But it's fucking crazy that we have all these Republicans who are afraid of that because of simply the word socialism. We can't have good things.
Turning off their lights. I see people in mobile home parks where there's not good insulation, being cold during the winter.
That's pretty good. I used to say a camel farting causing a stampede, which leads to a sandstorm. And of course, some broker wets himself and oil prices go up.
Because they don't want to use more gas.
My 20,000 constituents certainly can't afford a senseless increase in energy costs simply to pay for the Laurel natural gas generating fossil fuel plant.
Since 2020?
1953 was the last time the price of sunlight went up. Thank you. Appreciate it.
The last time I looked at the data, publicly owned utilities, their rates have basically just gone up a little bit below inflation, but investor-owned utilities have gone up much faster than inflation.
As a utility consumer, I'm confused. Is Northwestern Energy regulating this body, or is this body regulating Northwest Energy?
You just can't give these rate increases and look out for the best interests of the actual average everyday user. I think they try really hard to try to protect the people, but I think their hands are really tied because of politics.
The PSC is still deciding on Northwestern's proposed rate increases. What they do could set a new precedent for what utilities are able to get away with nationwide.
We do come to a point of hopelessness when all the stuff you go through is just...
What happens during a solar eclipse? And we're all just shit out of luck? Batteries, my friend. Batteries.
Doesn't matter. They just go forward with what they're going to do. They make their rulings based on what Northwest Energy wants.
For Casey and Steve, the Yellowstone plant has fundamentally changed the place they live.
The people in the area are really upset. It was so unfair. They tried everything they could think of to convince Northwestern not to build it near their homes, not to build it along the banks of the Yellowstone River.
I am concerned about the air pollution that is coming from that plant.
None of these pollutants kill you in a day or two. It's down the road when my granddaughter grows up, as Casey gets older, when we're gone, she's probably going to get sick sooner because of that. The people who live around these things should have a say in it, and instead it's the controlled politicians.
Until our elected officials try to rein in this out-of-control utility, we're going to continue on this path of ever-increasing rates and a degraded environment.
Some states are taking action to curb utilities' incentive to invest in expensive and polluting projects.
This is starting to get political traction. You are continuing to see state and federal legislators saying, like, the rates are too damn high.
5 states recently introduced bills to match utilities' profits to what financial models actually say they should be.
It hasn't gone anywhere, unfortunately, in any of the states, but the basic idea is like, hey, we need to formally legislate a standard. Huge step in the right direction.
Until then, it's up to regulators to put the interests of consumers ahead of corporations.
Nationwide, they talk about an affordability crisis, and I think...
And this is when you hear Republicans talk about deregulation being a problem for business. This is what we're talking about. This is these energy companies lining the pockets of Republicans and saying, deregulate. We promise we'll lower our prices. You just got to get this pesky regulation out of our way. And then we remove the regulation. They're like, ha, psych, bitch. And then they just raise the price anyways. Have we ever cut Can somebody point to a time in history in this country where we cut regulation and prices went down? Like, just dropped prices? I'm sure you can find some examples. But it doesn't happen in energy. We've cut regulation a bunch of times. We allow fracking, price of oil still goes up. We allow offshore drilling, price of oil goes up. We cut back on safety standards, price of oil still goes up. Is there anything we've ever done regulation-wise that has dropped the price of oil? No. The only thing that ever drops the price of oil is supply and demand. That's it. Just market principle. That's the only time we ever see a drop in oil. This idea that like regulation will drive prices down, it's just like this simple phrase. And people, like, for Republicans, it makes sense. They're like, hey, look, let's just say that you own a business. Okay, I own a business. Now imagine you're setting up your business. Okay, I can imagine that. And you're filling out your paperwork for a business. Okay. Now imagine instead of a day, that takes a month. Oh, bad. That's bad. Now imagine after a month, then you have 3 months worth of inspections to open your business. And now you're 4 months without having a business. Oh, yeah, that's bad too. See, so we need to get rid of regulation. Oh, yeah, I'm against regulation. And then these guys are like, fuck, that was great. Now our profits are going up. We're still going to raise your prices, but we're going to make more money. And they're like, but I didn't know that that's what you were saying. That's why they are so focused on common sense. That's why all these debates are always like, it's common sense. If you deregulate, prices go down. It's not common sense, because I see it happen all the fucking time, and then the price still goes up. This is how they all want you to think. They want you to think in fairy tales, in rhymes, in catchphrases. It's just common sense that if you deregulate, prices go down. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's just a thing that they told you. And then they told you a story that made sense in your head. And so now this is a principle that you've adopted. And anything outside of that principle, anytime you see an example of deregulation happening and prices go up, you know whose fault that is? The Dems, the socialists. Well, it would have went down, but the socialists wanted to tax you. And then they tax people, so then the price went up because they had to pay for taxes. It's just this circular logic, self-fulfilling prophecies over and over again. I hope that the Republicans that stayed here today, I hope you learned something today. That's the best we can do. I said Berserker's not even here. I can only assume that Berserker's out there Googling right now, do Chinese people have property rights? And he's going to find out, oh, fuck, they do. Can Chinese people own businesses? Oh, fuck, they can. Turns out that my whole ideology about how every business in China is owned by the government might not be true. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. I don't know. Let me check messages one last time. We're relatively close. I think that number is correct. Thank you guys for helping us knock out the gift goal. You guys are generous every single day. We hate doing it. But those of you that stick by us and help us knock out that goal every day means the world to us. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning's show may be a little bit shorter. I don't know. I have to prepare I didn't know I had to prepare an hour defense of my position. So I've got to prepare that plus a show for tomorrow morning. There's a 30% chance we don't have a show tomorrow morning. But we probably will. However, 9:15 Eastern, over on Raging Tomato, I'll be debating. Once again, the prompt is, let me read it to you again. The prompt is going to be, Medicare for all is the best possible solution to stabilize healthcare and give power back to the American people. And if you make sure you're subscribed over on TikTok, Discord, or YouTube as a paid subscriber, and then you can watch that with us instead of at Raging Tomato. Jen, did you have something to add? Oh,
Yeah, we
Amy
got
said
another
to
explanation
shut
from
up,
Shannon.
Jen. Great show.
Huh?
Jacob, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I've been guilt tripping the chat pretty hard. So I told people we were close, like emotionally inappropriate close.
I saw that. I laughed at that one.
Finish the goal before it gets weird. So I've been like finding all kind of random things to say. So Shannon also sent a Venmo saying to keep Jen from getting inappropriately emotional. So there's that.
Any emotion from Jen is inappropriately emotional.
I really don't like them. Yeah.
Limbo.
Jacob did a great job.
Limbo said, debate Rob Noer. I've actually debated Rob before. It was one of the weirdest experiences of my life. And I've already agreed to debate Rob again. It was supposed to be on the 26th of July, but I think something came up. He has some sort of, I think a vacation or something. So it was supposed to be on the 26th. It will be a different date, but that's in the works. Sarah's working on that. So I got that one. I got great show to shut up, Jen, Amy. And I think that's it. All right, Jen, any last words?
Thanks for falling for my guilt trip. I appreciate it.
There you go. All right, everybody. We will see you tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard, every weekday here on sometimes TikTok, but always Twitch and YouTube. Make sure you follow us on other social medias, and replay is going to be available here on YouTube in just a few minutes. Like Jen said before, it's also on Spotify, so you can watch the replays, watch or listen to the replays on Spotify. You can check us out over there at RTPTalks. Stay cute and cool.